What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pylon Show, episode number 28. We are so happy to be reassembled here. I'm your host, or one of your two hosts, Geoff Robinson, and I'm joined this week by Dad-tosis himself, who's fresh, reinvigorated, if you follow his Twitter, which you should. And he is ready to talk Starcraft. It's Artosis himself. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm quite jet lagged. But
when did you get back? Like a day or two?
Yeah, I got home. Was it yesterday or the day before? I don't know. Everything's blurring together. But yeah. I'm home.
That's the hard direction to fly too, by the way. The way he went.
Yes.
Savage. But he's not alone. This week we have a solo guest because when we think of people that can hold their own, have an opinion, and talk about stuff, there's a short list of individuals, but this guy is near the top. It's Mr. Ravi, not Ravi, despite what everyone thinks. Okay? You gotta get it right. It's Ravi, Fear Dragon. I don't know his last name. How you doing? Parik. I know his last name's right.
There you go, man. Parik a freak. Easy way to remember it. Thank you so much. That's what my high school engineering teacher used to call me all the time.
No. Freak?
Like literally he just wouldn't say my name, he'd just call me Parik a freak.
I guess if you add you know what's funny about that is if you add an at the end of it, it sounds more innocent and fine. But if you call you like Parik Freak, then it's like, there's like a dance in there or something sexual. But Parika Freaka sounds like you just like to get down and have a good time. Chewing bubblegum. Well, thank you for joining us. I have to say, and this is just to put it out there, it's a fun time right now because this is the StarCraft off season, so there's a lot of we're not doing tournament recaps as much. I mean, StarCraft Remastered is droning on, and Artosis will belabor us with bad stuff.
Belabor you?
I know. If we don't have if we don't have that relationship with SCR, then they won't be angry, and that's not how they exist. But anyways,
that's true. That's fair. We
get to talk about kind of more fun conversational topics a little bit more, I think, and it's not that it's better per se; it's just a different flavor. So I'm really looking forward to that. We'll get into the roadmap here. Actually. Yeah, no, actually we'll do his sponsors, then we'll get into the roadmap. Sorry, I'm an excellent host. And then we're going to hand it over to our #1 top pilot, Artosis, who will go through This Week in StarCraft before we dive into the topics. Let's give some love to our sponsors. This week we have a special sponsorship. It's an awesome thing that's going on right now. These guys wanted us to give a special nod to this, so they threw some money the Pylon Show's way. If that's something you're interested in doing, you can reach out to us and talk to us about it. It's not cheap. But again, it supports the show and then gets extra attention on what it is you want us to talk about. In this case, it's Cheeseadelphia, #6. And before I get into the specifics of this, I do have to say, they do a great job. Everyone that goes to these LANs, and I mean everyone, they come out of it and say, I had the LAN experience, I had a great time, I was paid my prize money, there was a tournament, there was computers to play on. They just do a great job, which is a service that not many people are doing right now because if you missed out on the MLG days or if you've never attended a LAN or you're not in your DreamHack, this is something that you can do. And Cheeseadelphia 6 is in Washington, D.C., and it's in a few weeks, so you still have time to buy an inexpensive ticket or get yourself some time off and get over there. But if that's something that interests you, please take advantage of this because this kind of stuff is not guaranteed to always be around. And if I hadn't experienced it in my life, I would not be well, that's a bit too much. I wouldn't be a third of the person that I am, okay? Because they're awesome.
I wouldn't be 99% of the person that I am.
Huge.
To go the other direction with that.
Actually, you know what, to be fair, you've sold me on that. Not so much, no, even the StarCraft 2 lands were huge, but Brood War lands, going to WCGs and some of that stuff, that was a huge part of my life, absolutely. So we have an intro. We're going to play a 30-second trailer here. I want you guys to see it. They can say it better than I can, and we'll watch it. Through the magic of production. It's my house. Oh, it's Ravi! Oh my god! There's girls there?
Oh, we're on camera during the videos. Oh shit.
All paths lead to DC. Very cool. So they have a website where you can sign up, which I believe is in the show notes. Cobra, somebody can put that in the chat right now, but here's the page for us.
That is lobby.gg/event/Cheeseadelphia-8.
We can always rely on Dan to read out the links, which for me, my brain always just the second someone starts being like, /zivix.eg.pu RSSSK. And it's just a 1, 2, 3 at the end there. And I'm just like, oh! Anyways, check it out. It's got a good list of players. Like it said, it's going to be commentated by our very own Ravi, as well as Tempo. These guys have commentated together. Ravi, can you tell us a little bit about it? And you excited to go?
Cheeseadelphia. I mean, you guys already kind of talked about how awesome like that LAN experience is. Cheeseadelphia, and this is for someone who used to attend like the old MLGs and stuff as a spectator. Cheeseadelphia is like the next closest thing that I've been able to find that kind of encapsulates like the same feel of the player pit, hanging around with players. Like this is where you get to just sit and randomly walk up and start up a conversation with like Neeb or Jon Snow, like a lot of the really good NA players. So it's a lot of fun. It's honestly just like super duper chill. People go out for dinner and it's just a really, really good time. And I actually really encourage people to actually try playing in it because a lot of people that are not just Grandmaster League players actually play in these. You do actually end up finding matches against like relatively evenly skilled players.
And that's, yeah, I'm so glad you said that because that's another funny thing that I talk to so many people that are like, oh, I saw such and such tournament, but I didn't play, I'm not very good. Please give it a shot. Even if you're gold or platinum or whatever, Dan and I can talk about our own experience. Like we are former professional players. We used to be very good, but we played at, you know, these SCR events that we just got done doing, the Caster tournament put on by Todd. And the feeling of competition, even if it's just one best of 3 and you get completely demolished because you got Neeb first round, it's fun. It's really exciting. And obviously, you hope not to get someone so good as Neeb because then it's maybe not as fun. But still, there's a good chance you play a few rounds, you have a good time, and the adrenaline of competition is huge.
You'll grow as a person if you play in a tournament. And you shouldn't only play if you think you have a chance to do well, because just pushing your comfort zone and your boundaries a little bit and feeling that rush of adrenaline, you know, plugging in your keyboard or whatever to the computer, it's a wonderful time. And, you know, I'm looking through these brackets while you guys are talking about this, and it's really cool to see these group phases with just a bunch of names, some of which I've seen, some of which I haven't. And then, like, I check out the round of 16, I'm like, damn, that is actually a solid scene right there. And that is a lot of good players that enter this. So, no doubt, if I lived in America, I'd be going to this tournament.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's over your neck of the woods.
One of my favorite memories even is like going to some of these events and like playing into Cheeseadelphia or whatever, and just like randomly someone else will come up behind me and I'll be watching the game that I just lost and I'm like, oh, you know, you should just do this, or like the next game. I remember one of my favorite things is like I was at this is at a DreamHack, not necessarily Cheeseadelphia, but it's the same sort of thing where like Neeb just walks up behind me and I'm like, Neeb, what should I do? And he's like, oh, you should just proxy your Dark Shrine. So then I proxy your Dark Shrine, and I won that game. And I'm like, cool, I got coaching from Neeb. That's a good feeling. That's like
Not
a memory
bad.
right there.
Last thing I'll say about this, and we'll talk about it at the end as well, but just the other huge thing here is it's an amazing vacation as well. Washington, D.C. has some of the best stuff that you can see. I know that sounds lame, and I think a lot of people that would travel to this, maybe you've already been. But if you're on the fence and you're that person that's like, I've never been to DC, I've meant to go, this is a 2 bird 1 stone. Like the mall there, the historic sites, just DC has great food in general. And I actually personally love it around wintertime because, I mean, I guess a lot of the East Coast people are like, shut up, Geoff. But it's got snow and it's cold and it's really beautiful. So I actually really, really like it. So if you're traveling further in or something like that, maybe that's a cool attraction. But DC itself is a great reason to go. There's a lot of LAN events that are like, well, if I can get you to Iowa, if I can get you to Belgium, Iowa, then you can have a good... It's like, well, not as much. It's just the LAN that you're going for. But here, DC is pretty damn rad. So that's that. That is put on by Nerd Street. Cheeseadelphia 6. We'll talk more about it at the end of the show. But thank you to them for sponsoring this episode. And also, hopefully, we sold 17 dozen of you on going to this. And if we did, let them know. And say it was only because you watched the Pylon Show and you heard about it. And then... people will keep sponsoring us, and eventually Dan and I can make our moon base, where we will hold the world ransom. Yeah, I mean,
it's going to be hard to get turn rate 24 against Koreans from the moon, but
it will be difficult. I do agree, but not impossible.
Can I add one more thing?
Please do.
So the tickets, by the way, for those who don't know and do want to sign up, they go up in price over time. So the sooner you get tickets, the more money you save, and that money you save can go to the Patreon for the Pylon Show.
That's a huge, I love the way you think. Yes, that's exactly right. Anyways, thank you to those guys. Our next sponsor is Matcherino. Oh, Cobra, you're jumping all over the place. You guys can't see it, it's just Cobra and I. Anyways, Matcherino. They are doing an amazing job. There's some awesome stuff here. You can get this mug with Protoss tears on it. The Is It Though mug is really popular. If you're thinking about...
Mug full of Toss tears. This is false advertisement. I know that if I order this mug, it will not come full of toss tears.
Well, you don't know that till you order, Dan. That's actually not true.
Well, I'm going to return it then. If
Toss Tears is the code word for this week. So even if you're listening to this, you can put it at any time, but it's one word, Toss Tears. If you're wondering what that does, it just basically lets the website know that you are watching this content and clicking through things. And it adds money to our prize pool, which is how we continue to be sponsored. There's also great stuff on here. We talk about this each week, but this is where you can pick up some awesome stuff. What? Oh, Zerg and Terran tiers as well.
Yeah, no, I see that, but I actually just thought of a better mug, right?
Okay.
Where it says Zerg tiers on it, but then it has a Protoss symbol on it, and then it says Terran tiers on it, but it has the Protoss symbol on it. Those are some good mugs right there.
So you can tell Dan's ready to come back home and stream some StarCraft Remastered. He's excited about it. Matt Trino's been awesome. We met them at BlizzCon. I talked about this last week, but they're super awesome people. They have a huge heart for StarCraft. So there are many ways to support the content we do. This is just one of them. But if you are looking, if you're reaching for the stars to do more, please look to this. And also just to be clear, we're going to go into talks for Dan and I to like commentate show matches, put on other show matches. We're going to create content through Matcherino. Now that Dan's home and I'm back, when I get back from Home Straight Cup, we'll figure it all out. But there's just more to come. So thank you to Matcherino. And please do put in that code. Next, we have AFKT. Lycan continues to be an awesome sponsor of the show. And Dan has been drinking this tea, and he's still...
Yeah.
Dan's are like, if Dan dies next week or something like that, and there's like complications with the tea, we know to tell you to not drink it anymore. But he's still upright. You're feeling good, right?
Yeah. No, I like the tea a lot. It's very good. Loose leaf tea. Definitely give it a try. Tea is good for you guys. And, we're still early on in esports, right? I guess this hasn't come up as much yet, but drinking tea over some of these other things that you may be asked to drink might be a good idea.
Well, I'll tell you what, we haven't been sponsored by an energy drink product just yet, so it may or may not be better. We don't know. It could actually be just as good as Monster, to be fair. If you're listening, Matt, Monster could be just as healthy. We actually don't have the scientific proof right in front of us.
Might be better for you, more antioxidants. Yeah. But as of right now, AFKT is the place to go.
Here's the thing. Tea's got antioxidants, but I believe Monster Energy just has such purging chemicals that it just kind of kills every disease that's in your body anyways.
It could be.
We don't know. But
you're still upright, so I mean...
That's right. I'm here. No, huge shout out to him. Great stuff. And he usually has a discount code or something like that going around as well. So just check out the website. Appreciate Lycan and AFKT. And then certainly last but not least, the primary way of supporting the show is our Patreon. And we hit $2,000. So we have been paying our guests last week, and then this week we'll do it as well. We're going to keep going with that. We think it's awesome. These guys give us a lot of time, so this feels better, selfishly, to ask them to come on the show and pay them as well. But also it's one of the main goals of the show is to put money in the pockets of StarCraft people, which is why I've cleared it with my friends here that put on the show. I want to say that if we hit $3,000, every week we will either buy subs or give $100 to a StarCraft streamer. So that'll be about $400 a month. So you can kind of see the drive of this. We hit $3,000. Yes, Cobra, Matt, and myself, Cobra, Dan, and myself make more money, but it's just a couple $100. We give about 50% of that back to the community, and that's kind of the main drive of what we're trying to do with this. We need to make money because we spend a lot of time making content, and that has to, be, of course, the way it goes. But we also want to help other people make money and give money back. So that's what we're trying to do. So it's at $2,100 now. If you guys sign up on Patreon, let us know, tweet at us, or just do it or whatever. But let's try to get that up there. $3,000, of course. And then next year we want to hit, again, about $10 million. We can start buying robot human replacement bodies for ourselves so that we can be spacefaring and do battle.
That moon base, man. Yeah, that's important.
I don't like the idea of them just popping our atmosphere and we die. So we need to be able to exist in the atmosphere. Yeah. That is it for our sponsors. So now the quick show notes rundown, and I'm going to pass it over to Dan to do This Week in StarCraft. The topics this week, I think I tweeted it out earlier, but maybe not. Maybe I absolutely did not do that. Balance mod and patch. Really? Okay, you guys added some shit in here. So we're gonna start off with the boring stuff.
They did just a couple final changes.
It'll be quick. New season for map pool. That'll be fun. World Electronic Sports Games. Our very own Ravi just got back from commentating alongside Nathaniel, so we'll hear back from him. And then we'll talk about Cheeseadelphia that's coming up again, but maybe not because we just did that. Husky and content creators. So an interesting thing happened there. Husky actually finally said goodbye to Starcraft, which is interesting in and of itself. But we're going to kind of bounce our opinions around about that. Home Story Cup, which is, of course, starting next week. And then the snub of Cyril in the Esports Awards. So that'll be interesting and funny to talk about. And last but not least, Brood War updates. So that's the roadmap. We'll get to that.
I won't belabor you with those updates.
Well,
no worries.
We got to drone on about it. Anyways, this week at Starcraft, man. Take it away, Dan.
Okay, we're going to go through this real quick because we have a lot of things, as is always the case. All right. So here we go. There is the OSC Maturino Grand Celebratory Cup. The groups are starting this Friday. I don't know what day it is there for you. Wednesday, I think. So like 2 days from now. And that is just kind of celebrating 1,000 cups together between Maturino, our sponsor, oh my God, and OSC, which Geoff found out a couple weeks ago has run something like 50,000 tournaments.
They're amazing.
Yeah, so looking really good there. Definitely a lot of good players going to be playing. Check it out. There's the OSC Battle of the Americas. NA versus LA champions. So that's North America versus Latin American champions. Basically, all the good players from those regions or very close to it will be in there. Names like Neeb and Jon Snow, Kelliger, No Regret, Jim Rising, etc. So definitely something you want to look for. Fear Dragon, are you casting that? You got anything to mention?
I feel a bit bad because I'm listed as one of the casters, but I'm out of town for so much of it that I'm only casting like 1 day. Or like 2 days.
There you go.
But it's going to be really awesome. They have a sick lineup of players.
Excellent. All right. For the Passion Craft Open Season 9, you can check this out. The group stage round of 16 plays out on Saturday this week, once again, so like 3 days from now, and Sunday. And you can check it out on passioncraft.challenge.com. We have the ANZ Starcraft Pro League. This was happening before, too, I do recall. They were having some cool stuff going on with their teams down there. Looks like Zeph, Maynard, and Death will be casting this. So a great little team of Australian casters. Definitely check that out. It'll be on the Twitch channel for the Australia, New Zealand, which is Blizzard_ANZ on Twitch. All right, Ladder Heroes, another Fear Dragon thing. I feel like we have the same names popping up.
He is, yeah. It's him and Starkiller, and they eat all the pizzas and they cast all the events.
It's Pizza Pie. It's it's Fear Dragon. It's Drek. It's just this. We should rename it from This Week in StarCraft to This Week for.
There's Jim Rising again. And,
yeah.
I want to say, quick aside. Go ahead, Rob. What you say?
Oh, Rail is so far ahead that I actually have to change the algorithm to balance around him because he's played like 1,200 games, and everyone on Europe has just given up and trying to catch up with him. Like, I actually have to rebalance ladder heroes for him.
You give money for ladder points? It's a fine system. It's no problem.
Wait, but you're not going to do it till next season, right?
Yeah, I'm waiting till next season.
Okay. I was
I'm gonna call somebody out real quick.
Hunt Rail down. You get out of here, Rail. You're trying too hard. All right.
So Todd is starting to try to organize the caster tournament too. The community doesn't know about this, but it's coming. He said it's coming, so that's good. But one of the fucking people he invited was Jim Rising, because I guess he technically has commentated some stuff. I'm gonna start I have my pitchfork raised. You understand? Us commentators barely ever get to compete. We don't even get paid very much, And we finally get a competition. And what happens? Jim fucking Rising takes advantage of Todd's ignorance, because Todd doesn't know who the fuck plays and casts. And he gets invited into this goddamn thing? Jim Rising is an active pro who, yes, commentates because there's no other Mexican pro commentator at all. But he's crushing nerds. So right now, guys, when you see the invite list for casters... Well, I guess I shouldn't tell you to not let Jim Rising in, but be upset about it. Join me in being miffed.
Yeah.
Welcome to my world, Geoff, where you're a Diamond League player that gets face off against Yogo in the first round.
Yeah. He's maybe he'll kind of just be the Cyril, right? You still enjoy WCS, even though Cyril's going to win. So you can still enjoy this tournament, even though Jim Rising will be holding the trophy.
It's amazing though, because the casters have some of these it's funny because I talked about this at BlizzCon, but Pig and Rotterdam, they're like, well, no, I think I can beat him. I'm like, shut the fuck. Get the fucking... What? Kevin is my favorite, though, because adorably, Kevin thinks he can beat just about... He's like, give me a week, I'll do it. I can beat Cyril. I'll figure it out. It's like, no.
Yeah. he's pretty confident. You got to like that about him, though. So check out Ladder Heroes on ladderhero.es with Fear Dragon. All right, the 2018 TESPA Collegiate Series is occurring. We've been talking about this for a few weeks. Fear Dragon, once again, commentating this. Oh my God, this is actually getting a little bit crazy.
Did you leave some for Jim Rising? Jesus Christ.
How is that going right now, Fear Dragon?
So once again, I'm traveling so much that I have not been casting this for a while.
I'm going to keep doing this to you. I mean, you're going to be like, well, guys, actually, my name's on everything, but
well, I mean, I missed an opportunity, too, because I haven't run the last 2 months of Ladder Heroes, like the monthly finals, because I've been traveling. So I'm actually behind.
I like this Fear Dragon tactic. It's to have your name on everything, but not actually do it, so that it just looks like you're hardworking. You know what I'm saying?
That's a great
idea,
man.
That's not
bad. Look,
I
figured it out. No, but TESPA Collegiate Series has been really awesome. It's just like a really fun tournament. It's got a lot of the top NA players, so it's quite fun.
Cool. All right, the Afrika World 25 by Laughing Games on Afrika TV. It looks like this time Tasia made it to the finals, beating True and then losing a close match with Keen. So you can definitely check that out. I think that Liquipedia is probably going to be your best spot.
Dan, you're missing the big highlight here. Who is the co-commentator of this?
It is, hold on, Falcon Paladin.
That's the Falcon Paladin right there?
The one and only.
The Reddit famous Falcon Paladin? Jesus.
Famous,
how did they manage that? That's incredible.
Thousands of commentaries by this man. A hard worker within the scene, teaming up with Laughing Games and making some nice tournaments there. And it looks like some very close matches. Kind of exciting seeing Tasia come back and actually making some waves. So check that out. All right, up next is Starladder Ultimate Series. We have been talking about this. It looks like, wow, a $7,000 prize pool with a laser going 4-1 against Mana in that finals. You can check this out on Winter Gaming or Laughing Games or Starladder _SC2_RU because Jeff loves me reading URLs like that.
Please do, yeah.
All right, Memes and Dreams #2. This is kind of No Regrets Home Story Cup-esque type tournament that he runs in the Foreigner Pro Gamer House, whatever we're really calling that. Unity House or something like that. Yeah. Anyways, it looks like he has announced the dates finally, December 19th through 21st. He wants for people to let him know on Twitter who they want to see there. And I'll definitely be stopping by for at least one of those days. That was that was a fun tournament to watch last time. It's kind of far from my house, but not as far as Home Story Cup. So I'll definitely make my way down, and that's going to be a lot of fun, no doubt about it. Some great content coming out, no regret. All right, the Proxy Tempest NA Open #120. Asuna defeated real_Avilo. I have an idea that that's not the real Avilo.
You might be honest.
Ladder is such a weird place.
Yes.
Anyways, you can check this out on proxytempest.challenge.com. They have lots of tournaments the Proxy Tempest guys do. All right, Kings of the North Probots Season 2 Finals. This week, Drexama, Endersword, and Andy Man hosted the Season 2 Grand Finals on their Twitch channel where Sarsa Bot defeated Dimitri Bot 4-3. So we have some very close matches between these computers.
I like that the AI has evolved. That is just like, yeah, we're just going to casually build like 4 spine colors in my natural now. That's the meta.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how they program these things, but definitely very cool. I love hearing about computers fighting each other within StarCraft, whether it's AI stuff or pre-programmed stuff. Really neat. Speaking of AI, the SC2 AI Ladder Tournament Season 6 Finals. Both finalist bot creators sat down for a roundtable interview beforehand. Cbot took 3 months for Ursi to make, while Nick apologized for Sarsa Bot's cheesy proxy hatchery tactics, but with so many greedy bots he felt he had to. Sarsa Bot ended the season with a 9-1 record versus Cbot's 8-2. But in the finals, Cbot defeated Sarsa Bot 3-2.
Wow.
Some real drama between these bots is
yeah, it's heating up over there in that robot land.
Yeah. So you want to check that out on twitch.tv/StarCraft2AI. Now, of course, the most important part of this week in StarCraft,
Please tell me it
the
involves
Pizza
Thank you.
Pie Weekly. Looks like Riser won 2-0 over Sis, and that's his second pizza win.
Wow.
Of course, everyone's still pretty far away from Starkiller SC. You know, I think that the Pizza Pie is getting more good players entering it each week.
Yep.
And I feel like we're not going to see Starkiller SC win anymore. I have this feeling. He hasn't won in weeks now, Geoff.
I'm concerned for his health. They gave us some. We actually met a lot of these guys at BlizzCon, and they said that all these mentions, joking aside, has actually really helped them get more recognition and more people are signing up. So yeah, that's fun to hear. Get out there, get yourself a pizza, take it away from Starkiller, because the other side of this too is if you eat too much pizza, you can get obese. You don't want that. So.
Well, that's why we need to foster a competitive scene around the Pizza Pie Weekly.
Yeah, Salad Pie Weekly.
So that the pizza gets spread around.
Oh my God. The signups of the people who have won this is like actually, in a lot of ways, a better list than a lot of just open bracket NA events with $100. This is sick.
Yeah.
You know, I wonder if there would be, if two guys got to the finals, they're like, you want to split? They're like, all right. Can you order a half pizza to each location?
No,
that's the next question.
I don't
get back to us, Pizza Pie Weekly, guys. Okay. Upcoming tournaments. The Kilo Team Invitational. This is a 2-versus-2 invitational tournament. It's got actually some quite strong players in there. Turkey Dano and Print F. We got Goblin playing, Future, and of course a bunch of their teammates in there as well. So that's going to be starting up. Where's the date on this? There's no date on this, but you can check it out.
Dude. Turkey Dano and Print F.
Check out the show notes. We don't have a date, but
they're
it'll be
both
starting at 12 p.m. It starts at 12 p.m., guys. All right. Another upcoming tournament, the Howling Starcraft Open Cup 2, hosted by Kerwin. You can check that out. You're going to love this one, Geoff.
Yeah, I see
challenge.com/awoo2. That is...
Can't
How
believe
many
you did
O's is that? Is that 7 O's? Is that 8 O's? There's too many. Every time I start counting, I lose my spot. Anyways, you can check that out.
It's 8.
in the show notes. All right. StarCraft 2 LAN party in Ontario, Canada. That is coming up on Saturday, November 17th. So that is this weekend. You're going to have to check that out if you live somewhere near Hamilton. Yes, Hamilton. That's a city. Then definitely check that out and go down. Just like we were talking about with Cheeseadelphia, you will not regret going to a StarCraft LAN. It is just a lot of fun, and StarCraft players always get along. You'd be surprised. You will make friends. All right. Inside the Scene, number 14, the State of StarCraft Remastered. Drek and Ender Sword added again. They had Kix and Jayan, two of the most important people in the StarCraft Remastered scene. So you can check that out on the ES Champ Twitch and YouTube. The return of Icy Far with Pig. Of course, that is like the Fun Day Monday thing. Border Control Agent. You can check it over on Pig's channel and send your replays to eonblue95@gmail.com. Deny and prevent expansions as hard as possible. That is the goal for this week. More show matches and invitationals from Laughing Games. He's another one of those guys we just keep on seeing popping up here, making a ton of content for the scene. Looks like Parting defeated Dongregu. What year is it? 5-3 in a best-of-9 show match on Sunday. Rotterdam defeated Eggs, one of the better Latin American players, in a best-of-1 on Saturday. And they had a balanced test mod matchup with Future BioS, Supernova, and Jim Rising, some really strong players. Looks like this Saturday will be Poland versus France. And that'll have Laser Mana and Soul versus DNS Clement Denver. Damn, that is some strong players. And that'll be on twitch.tv/laughandgames. That all sounds like really reasonable stuff to check out. So definitely do. Go give that guy a follow.
Do it.
All right. Looks like E-Mini has a new build of the week. It is the E-Mini Special Ruptor Drop into Blink Ruptor. And by Ruptor, of course, he means Disruptor. And it looks like it is one of his own creations. So this guy studies a lot of build orders. And you know what? When you study a lot of build orders, you can start making your own build orders. So you can look for that on All Things Protoss. That is a Reddit thing that you can go look at, something that he really helps to keep alive. Okay. BC Cutie continues his YouTube video series. In-base proxy goes, 100% win rate. Oh, wait. Oh, man, these are like some crazy titles right here for YouTube videos. It's one of those things. I hate YouTube video titles. This is something I talk about a lot in person with people like Geoff, and I just hate them.
That picture of BC Cutie is the
I don't
kind of guy that makes those titles.
I don't hate BC Cutie. I love BC Cutie. This guy's great. He makes a lot of good content, but these video names, oof, too many exclamation points if you ask me. Anyways, all sorts of great videos over on BC Cutie's channel. This guy really does put out a lot of content, knows a lot about the game, so check that out. Starcraft 2 charity stream for the BC Cancer Foundation from some drunk Canadian. I think that's actually one of our subscriber guys.
Yep.
So it's going to be a 24-hour Starcraft 2 charity stream on November 21st, and it is raising money for young adults with cancer. You can check this out on twitch.tv/somedrunkcanadian. And you can, there's donate information. You can check out the show notes and definitely check that out. It's always nice when people are doing stuff for charity. All right, handicap tournament fundraiser for Able Gamers Charity. Diamond level player who is paralyzed on one side of his body. Damn. Diamond, that's pretty good. That's DAW_station, and it looks like December 8th is the date that has been chosen. Able Gamers is about making controllers for disabled people to have the ability to play games. So that's awesome. You can check that out on twitch.tv/DAW_station. That's DAW_station. And again, that is December 8th. All right. There is an interview with Cyril out right now. I'm not going to read that. I don't know where this was copy-pasted from. ESPN interviewed SOS on being an underdog is not too bad. He always is an underdog, isn't he, Geoff?
Yeah.
You got your tier 3 sub, and Roddy got his tier 3 sub today due to that. Couple of fools you guys are. Happily paid it up. All right. This week in Brood War, we had the 20th year anniversary LAN in Russia. A lot of great players showed up that. I haven't gotten to watch any of it yet. Again, I was kind of on vacation, just got back home. But Rapid went there and did some casting, from what I understand. 3 Koreans flew over. Geoff, I want you to close your eyes and tell me what spots you think the 3 Korean players got.
1, 2, 3.
That is correct, my friend.
Wow.
We will never have a Cyril in StarCraft 1. The Koreans are very much better than the non-Korean players. Miso ended up winning. That's AKA Ware. Shine got second. And Sharp, it looks like, got third overall. So 3 really, those are like really top-end Brood War pros that flew over as well. I think Lancer X did the best out of the non-Koreans. But yeah, it looks like you can check this out on Rapid's YouTube channel, and definitely look at the Liquipedia page. I was looking at the bracket a little bit earlier, and it was really cool to see how many big names showed up there. You know, there's a lot of very strong Russian players in Brood War, so I'm excited to kind of go sift through there, find some good VODs. All right. The Bombastic Star League Season 5, the BSL 5. This is the biggest non-Korean tournament, really, online in Brood War right now. And it looks like they are getting further and further right now.
Avilov.
Yeah, Avilov, he's around. And a lot of very good players left over. So check that out. Check out, looks like the official stream was actually on Base Trade TV. Oh, that's neat.
That's cool.
But check out bombasticstarleague.com as long as you're not on a cell phone. I tried that and the site breaks instantly, but check it out on your PC. They have a Discord channel. Of course, Liquipedia is always a reasonable place to look for all this information. All right, the Africa TV BJ Destruction Team League Season 2 Brood War Edition is going on.
What was that?
Huh?
What was the name of that?
The Africa TV BJ Destruction Team League Season 2 Brood War Edition. BJ, of course, broadcast jockey is what streamers are called on Africa TV. And the finals are actually this weekend. It's actually down in Busan. I think it's all being played live. So that's cool. All of the top pros basically played in this, made teams. And like the teams have some very good pros on them. I believe every team has a woman StarCraft streamer.
Cool.
So Cadenzi, it looks like, has been playing in this. And it looks like actually her team is in the finals. So that's really nice with Jadong and Lass on the team. Damn, that's a strong team right there. So, yeah, that's going to be seen on played.africatv.com/lmaster, and I'm sure there will be VODs there afterwards as well. All right, Brood War Battle Dome. Welcome to the Brood War Battle Dome. Join our Twitch channel. Tell Andyman what you want to play. Survive 3 rounds in order to get a cash prize being paid out through Matcherino. It's on November 14th. And that's on Proxy Tempest. Another one of those things that just keep popping up. All right, the Student StarCraft AI Tournament 6. Of course, there's a lot of AI work going on in StarCraft 1 as well. And this is something that can be seen at sscaitournament.com. They are really active over there, and you can check it out. Fall Foreign Show Match Series number 3, Koget versus Jaeyun, one of the best European Terrans against one of the best American Zergs. This was a best of 9, I believe, that went on. It looks like Koget actually defeated Jaeyun 5-1. So really a nice display of skill there. You can check that out on Liquipedia. And it was sponsored by Matcherino. Once again, thanks, guys. All right, so are we doing This Week in Awesome as well?
Halfway point, right?
All right.
Keep going, Dan. You're doing great,
How
man.
it looks versus how it feels, number 13 by Nice Username. Check it out. Those are always pretty funny and then pretty accurate as well. The Core 5.0 by Jack Attack. Jack Attack, of course, is the guy that has worked a lot on hotkeys and made the sandbox and stuff before, was really working on like deliberate practice routines and whatnot. So cool to see that he's actually updated some stuff. It looks like it's now available, and you can check that on Team Liquid and Reddit. Just check out at Jack Attack TV. That's JAKATAK TV.
Why?
I gotta do it.
That was worse
As soon as I start reading it, the thing is, I know how to spell Jack Attack, but I realize other people might not. So I start reading it, and I'm like, oh god, this is going to be hard on anyone's ears. Anyways, all right. Wait,
I'm tired. Just listen. This is a lot.
I think that's it. I think that's
There's
this
one
week.
more, but it's Jack Attack related, I think.
Oh, is it?
He released a song on YouTube.
Oh,
Everybody derps sometimes.
okay. Everybody derps sometimes from Jack Attack TV, a StarCraft related parody video,
Does he sing it?
and that will be.
He
Yeah, you can
does.
check that out at JAKATAK TV.
I think we're about to hear it.
All right.
Do you guys hear that? I don't hear anything.
I don't hear it.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, now our VOD's gonna get taken off YouTube, guys. Turn this off.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right. Wow.
Well, that's This Week in StarCraft. There you go. A little bit longer than anticipated this week, but what can you do?
A lot of StarCraft. Dan,
A lot of StarCraft going on.
awesome job with that.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you all. Let's get into our first topic here. Final balance changes for Season 4. This came up yesterday.
Yes. The bounce patch is not out yet. Is it getting released on the 21st, I believe? I think that's the case.
I don't
It's
know.
with the new season, right?
That's what everyone thinks. The new season will be the new balance patch.
Mm.
So let's go down. Cyclone goes from 4 to 3. Oh, man.
Okay.
Thor, Punisher cannon damage increased from 40 plus 10 massive to 40 plus 15. Thor, Punisher cannon attack period decreased from 1.78 to 1.71. Thank God.
It shoots faster and kills massive quicker. That's good.
I think they did that
Okay.
for the Tempest.
Yeah.
Sensor power. Hey, go ahead, Dan.
I'm just going to read everything in this show. SENSOR space TOWER. Take it away, Jeff.
Holy shit. All right, I'm not letting Dan talk anymore, guys. Don't worry, I'll save us. It's now that when you start wanting to place it somewhere, it just shows where it will detect for you. I think it's a nice minor quality of life change. Creep spread delay from hatcheries, layers, hives. I'll wait till...
Decreased, yeah.
Matt just flipped off. There it is. Okay, decreased from 0.45 to 0.3.
Yeah.
The idea behind this is that the creep nerf will go through, but on hatcheries, it's supposed to like the creep's going to recede, or it's going to expand faster and recede slower, right?
Mm-hmm.
The thought process is you'll be able to wall in ZVZ more quickly, because if you couldn't, then it would just become so sharp.
There you go.
So,
Ultra's anabolic synthesis upgrade research time decreased from 79 seconds to 43. We spoke with them about this. Their thought process was just that both upgrades are pretty critical, but you're always going to go armor first. You're never going to go for the speed. So they don't want to make it so that both upgrades take like 5 years to actually click in, and then your ultras are much better. They want it so that you upgrade the armor, because that's just what you're going to do, and then you don't have to wait too long to get the speed upgrade for them as well. Protoss Structures. This one is really funny. Robotics facility cost reverted from 150/100 to 200/100. And the robotics bay cost reduced from 200 to 150/150. So you net out 50 more...
50 more gas.
50 more gas.
Yeah. Or 50 less gas, depending on how you want to say it.
Yeah, you save 50 gas, you spend 50 less. It's just... this doesn't rock anyone's stocks. The funniest thing for me is when they announced this at the summit, I was just giving them shit, because it's just like... It feels like Protoss is that race where you can't just give them a buff, because that doesn't feel right. It has to be a, like, let's give them a buff, but then also, like, when they're reaching for it, you hawk a loogie in your hand. You're like, here, fucking take it, you gross Protoss player. And they're like, okay, why'd you have to spit on it? And they're like, get out of here. And then you take it. So, because there was no testing. There was no, like, man, Protoss is just flush with money at this time. No, none of that. They were like, let's reduce the cost. And they were like, ooh, I don't know. That feels wrong.
This is all due to the Terran Zerg alliance that's been going on for 8 years.
Absolutely.
Point, right? People got really angry at Protoss during Brood War, and then there was Warp Gate finished in 2 seconds, right? Pylon radius was too big and stuff, and ever since, man.
I always said that we never had a Protoss player that whined strong enough. Like, Huck was the closest that it came to. And that's why he probably won for a while, is he whined hard enough to get some good stuff through. But the rest of us were just kind of... We're just used to it. They're like, hey, you want a Tempest? It moves faster. Okay, cool. Half health. And you're like, seems reasonable. Like, yeah, really? Okay.
Yeah, we just need to get Neeb on microphone when he's not normally, and then you'll hear all the Protoss whining.
Yeah, I shouldn't do a Neeb impression.
Go to Cheeseadelphia if you want that. Well, I don't know either, but maybe he will. He might. He's been there before. He's won it before.
He's going to be there.
Quality of life stuff here. SV's single-click selection priority will now be higher than the buildings they are constructing. If you understand what that means, then you're playing a lot of StarCraft.
It's like if you're trying to select an SCV that's building a building, sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to select it because you'll select the racks instead or whatever. But the SCV will just be easier to click now.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Wouldn't mind.
This would have helped some players in the past. Remember the Command Center cancel by Hydra? Remember that?
In
TSL
War?
against Noni?
In Brood War?
Yeah.
A different game?
Yeah.
Okay. Dan, let's get through the show so we can get you to sleep, buddy, okay? The Widow Mine.
I'm doing fine.
The Drilling Claws upgrade now permanently cloaks
Geoff,
Widow.
You're reading out like the total summation of all of the patch notes from the past. This is
we're not doing
Oh,
that.
yes.
Never mind.
The new stuff you finished.
Yeah.
We finished the new stuff. This guy, who added this to this, by the way? I just want to know who's responsible. Dan, did you suggest we talk about the balanced patch notes?
I did not.
So just Cobra or Alessandro snuck that in there? Is that what happened?
Do you think that
you can blame us? It's fine.
We talked about this last week, is why I think it's funny. Yeah, it's coming out on the 21st. Actually, I guess we didn't talk about this one. It's just every week they've added little addendums to it. So I don't have anything to say about that stuff, guys. There's a fraction of a second faster shooting. There's +5 damage against Massive for the Thor.
I mean, I, for one, am outraged that sensor towers are going to be easier to place down now.
Sensor towers are easier to place down, and the Protoss building one, like, I'm going to give them shit every time, but that's not a big deal at all. Like, nobody went into saying the Robo needs to be cheaper. They just were like, guys, the Robo X Bay are going to be cheaper. And the pros were like, that's really nice of you. And then the Zerg and Terra were like, no! Oh my god! Are you serious? And then Roddy's build can now include warp gate research as well as be as good as it is? It's like, get the fuck out of here. He's literally the only guy that skips that fucking upgrade. So this whole patch is like, Roddy, can you please research up that?
It's a Roddy nerf, man. That's what it is.
So, yeah, we have nothing on that. The new map pool, though, this will be fun. Did you guys take a look at this at all?
I have not seen a new map pool. No, not at all. Let's see it.
That's it.
I've heard mixed things about it though.
Stasis,
some pretty good and bad.
Ladder edition. This looks like a Mario level. This looks like Bowser's at the top of that thing.
Stasis? Yeah, look at that. Oh my god. The maps in StarCraft 2 are so pretty.
So is it bottom? Hang on, go back. Hang on, Matt.
Kind of reminds me of Star Station.
Oh, you're top left versus top right. I got you. Okay. What is that thing at the top? Can you go through that? What is that?
That has to be air blockers. Has to be air blockers. Like, see those little walls going up around it?
Yeah.
100% you can't.
Too high for an overlord, you'd say?
Yeah. That's Princess Peach's castle.
That's me. Yep. Nobody goes up there. So it looks like 3 base is pretty easy. That gold base is right fucking there, which immediately I look at that and I go,
can't wait to play against Zerg on that map.
Yeah, what is your thought? I mean, that third every single time. I'm like,
yeah.
And then once you take that third, you have 3 bases behind that.
Yeah, if you look at this layout, it reminds me of Abyssal in a way. I'm like, wait, you can never stop someone from getting that side of their side of the map. It's like so close together.
I mean, I know this is just our first look at it, but I do not like it. I do not like that. I'm very uncomfortable.
I like it, Jeff.
I know that their idea is that the low ground...
Making carriers that don't do anything.
No, this is terrible. I mean, terrible is too strong a word, but this is like... This is also Terran rushes out to the gold, sieges up that location, and then they have 3 bases behind that are defended by that 1 gold base.
Yeah.
Those naturals are so close together. I feel like it's like maybe two or 3 screens apart.
Yeah, no, it's super close.
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, I don't need to proxy my Stargates anymore.
No.
Just build them a natural.
Yeah, you definitely build...
That's the closest location.
This will be funny in the new patch, because Tempests are going to get, you're going to see more Tempests in that. Like, this is the Tempest map, I guess. Okay. I mean,
Protoss
going to be
like air blockers there, because the speed, because it's kind of like habitation, right?
Yeah.
That's what this map is actually most like, is habitation station.
Okay, and that brings up, I think, Automaton. I can't tell what you guys are looking at.
Yeah.
If you see this on screen or not. This is interesting. I know that they said that I think they were going to try to change up the tile sets a little bit more.
Yeah, I like that. That's It's just visually they're so appealing. StarCraft 2 maps. Look at I gotta tell you, I feel like
very close, right?
This map, just like the last one, there's a lot of bases that are really close together. I like that.
There's a lot of area for like Reaper hop-up spots and stuff as well on this map.
Well, I do agree with Dan's comment. So the idea, if you look at the little note on the bottom part, this is how they're balancing this. This is their idea, is that there are a lot of bases, but they're harassable by like air and siege and that kind of thing. I think that's all fine and good, but you get into weird balance issues with that, where like liberators become extremely powerful, not only as harass tools, but one of your only ways to survive a liberator push is like intercepting it, going across the map and fighting in the middle of the map, and then kiting back with storm, blinking when they move too far forward, that kind of stuff. But a lot of these maps, if they're really short and there's just all of a sudden liberators at your third, you just die. It's like a really tough situation. So I'm not saying these maps are like impossible to play on, but I'm looking at them and I'm just, unlike the last map pool where I was like, okay, I can get my head around this. I'm looking at these and I'm like, damn, like how do you deal with that? But it's close by air, but far by ground is what they're saying here. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, I guess it is a little bit far by ground, because like those gold mineral patches, is there like an obstruction behind those?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Yeah, that kind of makes you good. Like if that was open, this would be a lot quicker, I think. But You do kind of have to walk around a little bit.
Gotta walk around.
I like it. It's a good looking map though. Again,
Oh,
I like
yeah.
these different tile sets.
They're beautiful. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. The next one we got here is Kairos Junction Ladder Edition. And this one obviously looks to be a little bit larger.
Yeah.
More spread out. And I'm looking... one of the first things I always do is kind of the expansion layout. Because I know that a lot of maps are unfortunately hamstrung by the idea that they have to be balanced pretty much for Protoss is the unfortunate part. Like if you have a hard-to-take third, Protoss just doesn't win a single game on those kind of maps. And it kind of ruins the diversity you can have for Terran and Zerg because they have a little bit more flexibility in that way. So it's nice that the map makers are so conscious of that concept, and they seem to be pretty good. But then the tough balance to walk there is the third has to be accessible, but the fourth can't be too easy. Or if it is too easy, then there has to be other maps where the fourth isn't too easy to take. Otherwise, it becomes a Protoss-dominated map pool, oftentimes. And that's a very generic outlook on it, but that's a couple of the concepts they struggle with.
You know, it's interesting that you say that because some of these maps so far, like those first two maps we looked at, look like to get a fourth, even a fifth base is not going to be hard. But at the same time, the reasons why, like, for instance, look at PVZ, right? Why those might be really good Protoss maps are gone, right? You can't just go carriers anymore or something like that. You can't just turtle up and be like, oh, here's everything, because the unit sucks now, right? So probably is going to.
I think it'll be interesting in this because we are heading in a Tempest direction, right? Like if you watch the Protoss streams right now, a lot of them are just trying out Tempest stuff. The Muslims using a lot more battle cruisers. Like these are some of the new units that we're going to be seeing. And they're not even playing them on the balance patch or the balance map. They're just getting ready, wrapping their head around the ideas of what the new build will look like. So it is fun, and this is part of that thing we talked about last week too, where we want there to be radical changes. So I know that when I look at these maps, you hear me hemming and hawing and being critical. But to be honest, I'm excited. I'm very happy that the map makers and Blizzard helped them in this direction as well. We should get shaken up here. I should feel uncomfortable. Pro gamers should not like it. As long as there's like a balance to be struck. It doesn't mean it needs to be terrible. It just means it needs to be different, is I guess what I'm saying. If we got the same map every time that was played the same way, this game would stagnate. And we want to avoid that. So it's good that they're pushing the boundaries here.
Yeah, and I kind of especially like with these new maps, like, again, those first two look like they're going to be totally fine for Protoss, and then the third looks kind of more like maps that we've had more recently in a way, just with the difficulty of taking those extra bases. But yeah, I kind of like a little bit of the diversity that we're seeing here because it is such a new patch. I mean, it's not as boat rocking as last year's patch, but it's still enough that it's like the game is going to feel really different. So to have these very different maps is good.
Which brings us to Port Alexander Ladder Edition. This is the large macro map, and it is very detailed map, very beautiful. And again, with it, you can tell each map has different tile sets that they're trying to utilize here and show off. Very cool. And this is a big map,
This reminds me of oh my god, why can't I think of the name of that stupid map with the 4 bases straight up the side on both sides on high ground?
Can't remember, I don't know.
Okay, never mind.
But I see what you're talking about.
The map that Gumiho and Sue had a crazy game on the season that Gumiho won. Come on! The one with BCs? Never mind. Anyways, this was I like it. The high ground in the center, kind of a new take on that idea of having all your expansions down and up in a row, right? Because that's a very different way to expand if you're expanding straight up or straight down.
It says in like the little description that like your start locations are vulnerable to air attacks if the enemy sneaks along the edges. Is there a lot of dead airspace that I don't see? Because
the main start locations, just behind it, I guess.
It doesn't look like too much.
A lot of maps don't have that at all, though.
Yeah,
that's true.
Well, a lot of times too, map descriptions are not. They're done with good intention. I run into this a lot in Korea, where sometimes we'll have this like half-assed translated map description. I can see what they're talking about. Well, they're talking about. I'll be like, is that how this map is? Okay.
If an Oracle or Medevac gets back there, it can't be reached by like a stalker or something on the ground. So what they're talking about is things can get jammed back there, and they can be annoying. And if you look at all the expansions, for the most part, there's space behind them. So
Yeah,
that's kind of a funny concept. Air control so far is being a big theme in all 4 of these maps. Maybe unintentionally, but like I think of Tempest, I think of Liberators, less battle cruisers because obviously they have a lot shorter range, so they're not really taking advantage of being out of reach per se. Interesting.
Well, yeah, I think you're right, except for Stasis, that first map we looked at, because it does have those air blockers. So it seems like with how close the bases are, how easy that's going to be to defend and macro up, maybe that one is much less like the other 3 in that regard.
Yes and no. There's not air where they can't be reached and it's just pure air units, but I do see you like wanting to shut down the gold base by controlling the ground, obviously not just with air units, but like sieging it with Liberators or Tempests and shutting down those bases.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a repeated theme. We'll see. I mean, it already exists in StarCraft now. Obviously, it's a thing that people do.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to the next one. It's Emerald City Ladder Edition for 2 versus 2. There's 1 new map, which is really, really cool. It's a rare thing to see a new 2 versus 2 map, but here it is. There it goes.
All right.
And thank you, Matt.
I just know nothing about 2 versus 2 in StarCraft 2, man.
Matt is done with that map. We're not. Hang on.
I can't tell if those like highlighted things on the map are parts of the map or if they're just like there for decoration. Because some of those like green squares look like they're on the map itself, not just like in the dead air. No, never mind. Maybe they are just in the dead air. Okay.
I think they're just details. Yeah. I don't play 2 vs 2, but it's nice that they're still balancing masters. I know that like ProTech and some of these guys, like that's all they stream, and that's their whole world. And we've been talking about for a while, hopefully, the idea of more 2 vs 2 in team leagues or something like that. So if you're going to make more maps, then that becomes a possibility. It looks nice.
Yeah.
I like shared main 2 vs 2 maps. Obviously, like the older ones, the really bad ones, were the ones where they had like separate bases, and then I don't know, it got kind of weird. But in StarCraft 2, you can do all kinds of stuff in 2 vs 2 that are taking advantage there.
Yeah.
And then we have Whitewater Line, a new 3 vs 3 map. Again, shared base. You can see that. Gorgeous map again. They're just fun to look at.
The maps are just really pretty, man. It's...
The next
StarCraft 2 map editor is awesome.
And then you actually have a shared natural that you can all take down there and into one ramp. So this is like kind of a macro attempt. I can see a lot of teams walling off that ramp leading up there and then expanding.
Triple fast expand.
Well, that's fun though. That's macro games. I would tell you if you're playing 3 vs 3 on this map, you better have a good computer. You're gonna have some big armies. And lastly, a new 4 vs 4 map, and holy crap.
That looks crazy.
It just looks cool. I don't think I've seen... We had 1 map. Remember that old-ass map at the beginning of Legacy of the Void that was on this tile set? I believe, if I remember correctly. I can't remember the name of it. I don't remember
this tile set, really.
It had white grounds. Maybe it is not this tile set, but it had that kind of... that lighting and color effect. But it was a white ground. It was actually in the era of He Who Shall Not Be Named during that dream hack. Anyways, I'm getting away from myself. Maybe in the chat someone knows what map I'm talking about, but that looks cool. That looks awesome. And there you have it.
I mean, make a 1 vs 1 map on that tile set, someone please.
Yeah. So there's the new maps. We just kind of gave our just feelings on, just our cursory glance look at it. But moving on to our next subject here, we had the World Electronic Sports Games conclude this past weekend, and our very own Ravi was there commentating alongside Nathanius. So, Ravi, why don't you just tell us about it? Do you have a good time? Do they take care of you? How are the games? Tell us about it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was kind of weird for, at least for me and a little bit for Nate, because I was out there for, if you include the travel days, like for 5 days. But I only cast 3 best of 5s. So I was actually only working for an hour and a half of those 5 days.
That is weird.
Wow.
It was a little weird because they had like all the other games going on and stuff. It was just a bit odd. But I mean, the games themselves were like pretty wonky and wacky, and they were pretty fun. Neeb won, no surprise. He ended up 3-0ing Silky. Silky had a pretty fun series versus Future, and actually I would say like the best series of the entire thing was actually Puck versus Neeb, which was one of the semifinals. And Puck actually put up a pretty damn good fight for a good bit of time, but eventually got toppled. But yeah, overall just a really fun event. The kind of weird thing that I'll also note is that WESG, like this year, they're doing something different than they did in the previous years, where they're just saying like third parties go run like each one of these individual national qualifiers. And each one is run so ridiculously differently. Like a lot of the European ones, all of them are online, whereas this was the United States offline one. And I don't even know if like the prize pools are the same. And then they have like this weird categorization where they're like, okay, so like Mexico and 8 other countries. And then here's like South America will be one qualifier, which is like 12 countries. And then you have like United States as one country. It's just like really weird. The coverage is across like maybe 7 different streams. It's like very difficult to follow, I would say. That's kind of like one downside right now.
Yeah, I'm looking at this. I don't know if it's up for you guys' screen, but the splash screen of how it's like Americas, Europe, SA, Europe, and because they're dealing with different partners and stuff like that, it does seem disjointed, so it's a little bit harder to follow.
They've also done some other weird stuff, like the qualifiers for like getting the top 4, for example, for United States and Canada. The website that they used, you can't look at the bracket unless you're registered in that bracket. So there's nothing on Liquipedia about it, and there's no one updated anything on a Ligulac. It's like it's all just only the players know what happened. Nobody else knows what the hell happened in those games.
And I always feel, this is just my time to get on this soapbox, which I've gotten on many a time, but like it always is too bad, because for a lot of people they're like, oh, not that big of a deal, whatever. We're doing a finals in China, and that's what we hope to make our money back on. But like a lot of this is not about money. It's not hard to do, and anyone that's ingrained in like a part of the scene would know to do these things. So again, I don't necessarily think like a WSG CEO is listening or something like that right now, but if you're putting on content, do the easy part. Allow it to be seen and allow it to be talked about. Maybe it doesn't translate to, especially in StarCraft, tens of thousands of more viewership or traffic through your website, but it does make a difference, and it doesn't cost money, and it doesn't take more time. For the most part, like at all. Like, it's the same amount of work, but it's done a little bit differently so that people can watch it and view it. Like this stuff right here, I understand going to different partners. That's cool because you're spreading the love and that kind of thing. But then have a central website where all of this is succinctly linked and organized and talked about so people can just go and follow the whole thing.
I've worked with companies kind of like this before in the past in Korea, where it's like, okay, it'll be like a big parent company saying, you guys go do esports, right? And then they're like, okay, we're doing esports. And then you get a tournament that kind of looks like this. And the thing is, for the players, it's really awesome.
Right. Yeah.
The players all want to play. The people want to watch these players play each other. We're all eager for this company to just go do esports. But the thing is, they don't necessarily really know how to do esports. So they just kind of, they type in their little search engine. The first thing they find, they kind of go with. They're like, yeah, there, you make the bracket there. Yeah, no, it sounds good. Okay. And they have their little board meeting. All of them sit down with their pencils and their pads of paper, right? And they're like, oh, yeah, okay. And they write down. They're like, yeah, that's the website. Okay. And it's just like, they don't know.
Well, here's the part that really frustrates me about this. And it's not necessarily, this is more us taking this opportunity to talk about this. I'm not coming down on WSG per se. But very often in my years of StarCraft in particular, I see these kind of things roll around. They give great money to the players. They're paying commentators to go in there. Ravi and Nathaniel did not do what they did for free. And then at the end of the day, it doesn't get very good views. It doesn't get followed because it's all over the place. And it leads to a finals that should be mega hype. It's been well invested. It's been building up. But because it's also disjointed, the viewership for that is also not as robust as it could be. And then what oftentimes happens at the end of it is they go, well, fuck it. That game's dead. I'm not going to go near that game anymore. Because there are some games where just putting it on that weekend, it doesn't matter how shitty everything building up to that was. They'll get some views, or at least the people in the boardroom will be like, well, we're doing content with that game. That is everyone, they're all talking about it. So it kind of pays for itself. But with StarCraft, that's not necessarily the case. We can still make great content. We can still put on fantastic tournaments, as we just came off of BlizzCon, which is a huge success, and all these things are massive. And again, I'm not saying WSG needs to put on a BlizzCon, but if you do the little things that build up to a decent show, then maybe you get a little bit more return on investment. But so often, exactly what Dan just described happens, where they're like, I don't understand. We invested $150,000, and we had 3,000 people on the stream watching it. And it hurts me because every time that happens, it makes us look worse, and then they never come back, and then it just creates a cycle of bad.
Yeah, it is pretty tough. It's just like esports is so new still, and so few people really do have any idea what the hell they're doing. It's tough, you know. You have a company that's doing esports, and they just don't have the right person working there. I mean, if you know what you're doing, and you can get a job with WESG, please go help them. I mean, everyone likes WESG. We all want to watch it. We all want it to succeed.
And it's frustrating, too, because I think the answer is, like, reach out for help. You reach out to a Ravi. You reach out to a No Regret or some of these people and be like, hey, you're in the scene. Do these things. Can you help us out? They will help you. And, pay them some money. But, you know,
I get what you're saying, Jeff. We need more esports consultants. That's the takeaway here.
We actually do. No joking. It's like the joke is, of course, that esports consultants is fake and terrible, but like there are people that you can pay for their experience and advice, and they will give you good advice, and it will help stuff like this. So maybe WSG puts on a great show, and it doesn't fucking matter what I just said. But like I said, this is more of a vehicle for that discussion. I'll take every opportunity I can to talk about that. But that was WSG. Great job, Ravi. So it's building up to the finals in China, I guess, which is like early December, right?
No, it looks like based on here, it says 2019 March ?
Yeah, I don't know that an actual date has been discovered yet.
Okay.
This goes back to the whole, like, I actually applaud Alessander for finding as much information as like is listed already, because this is more information than I had.
Well, that's good. We'll keep tracking it, because it is, again, it's fantastic that they're paying these players. They're competing. It's really nice that way. But that's WSG. Before we move on to the next topic, I guess I have to mention this. There's a lot of people talking about my dog Snoring. I don't know what to tell you. He's a big English bulldog. He's asleep. The microphone's up here by me. He's adorable. I love him so much. If it really, really bothers you, there's nothing you can do, because I've done shows in the past where I put him out in the other room, and then just anytime he hears my voice, he freaks out. He's attached at the hip to me. That's him right there. Cobra showing him. I love him with all my heart. So if his snoring really bothers you, I'm sorry.
Too bad.
Yeah, it's too bad. Next topic.
He's a great dog.
He is a great dog. He's a good guy. Husky and content creators Starcraft 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay the groundwork for this, and I'm going to throw it to you guys. And I love that Ravi was talking about this, and I know that Dan has opinions on this. I do as well, of course, but I'm going to give you guys the space. So what happened? What's been happening? Husky Starcraft is a fantastic, legendary commentator of early Starcraft 2. I guess a lot of our audience, maybe that was before your time, or maybe a lot of you know him. He was very energetic, enthusiastic. He actually came up in the scene through Brood War, with Artosis being kind of one of his role models. And I'm not just saying that. He said that himself. Did you hear that?
Did you guys hear that?
What was that?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. It's a baby crying, because that was like...
I legit thought someone was getting tortured or something.
Yeah, I thought your door was going to be kicked open. It was like a velociraptor. I'm like, damn, it's Jurassic Park 7. Holy Toledo. Anyways... That was amazing. He was great. He was wonderful. He then took a couple of years of him doing that stuff. It's all over YouTube. Anyways, that's what he was. Very beloved. He ends up actually discontinuing his content almost entirely and pretty quickly and I'm not going to give any personal details because it's none of our business, but the TLDR of it is that he began to be a manager for his girlfriend, Rosanna Pansino, who's one of the most successful YouTubers on all of YouTube. Literally millions and millions of dollars off of that content. No comment about what kind of content it is, because it's irrelevant for us. But that's where he took his career, and a lot of people had mixed emotions about this. They didn't like that their favorite content creator was moving on to something else without so much as a word. Or other people dealt with it like they deal with any other time someone leaves their particular hobby scene and it's just like, whatever, it's fine. But anyways, it was something of mention for years and years. And then Husky has done a couple of things where he's like, new announcement soon or whatever, and then there's not really been anything to follow it up. But this year, he said changes are coming, announcement soon. And then he actually rebranded himself, removing Starcraft from all of his things. And that obviously rubbed people again the wrong way. But he just very recently actually made a statement on his Facebook saying, I had a great time in Starcraft. I loved it. It's a big part of why I am where I am. Thank you very much. But I will not be, essentially, it says, I will not be making more Starcraft content. I have nothing but love, that kind of thing. Moving on. That is not verbatim, but that is the TLDR of that. And then this opened up the discussion about how people felt about that. So there's a big Reddit thread that was made on our StarCraft 2 Reddit. Ravi posted in there as well, but I thought it was interesting because the kind of other side of this conversation, was it Nice Username or was it Cyan? Who made the thread? It was Cyan?
Oh, Cyan was the content creators? Yeah.
Cyan made a thread in response to this saying, here are all the other StarCraft 2 content creators that if you're feeling that void, you can go, watch their stuff and follow them. Now, before I pass it off to these boys, the reason why that thread exists is because the other side of this, and this is a multi-dimensional thing, is there's a lot of content creators that have been around StarCraft for a long time, new or old, that never did leave or are coming in, and it rubs them the wrong way every time they're asked, like, hey, where's Husky? Your stuff's okay, but where's the other stuff that I used to really like? And now that person's not necessarily saying something wrong or bad, or they're not trying to be mean. They're just a consumer. They don't fucking care. They're there for StarCraft content. But there are people that work really hard making content that never left, that don't get any of the love or attention that Husky did, who's been gone for I want to say 5 or 6 years. It's a very long time. And now we have the groundwork. So Ravi, you made some comments. You want to share your thoughts about this thing?
Yeah, so there's so many topics to talk about on this that I have a lot of thoughts about. The first one I'll start with just Husky. So I think that there's this weird thing that happens a lot of the time with content creators, which I've seen from the content creator side, I've seen from the viewer side or just fan side and everything. It's that I think a lot of people develop these weird relationships in their head with the content creators, where they feel like there's maybe more of a relationship than there actually is. The content creator is their friend. Oh, the content creator, now that they've shown some support and they watch their stuff or they subscribe or whatever, that content creator now owes them something. And one thing I always really, really respected about Total Biscuit was that he would always push this idea that it's a transaction, right? If you're watching my stuff, you're paying for it with your views, or if you subscribe, here are the things that you're getting, and that's it. That was the transaction completed. There's not oh, well, because you followed me for 6 years or something on my channel, now I owe you all of these other things. No, if the content creator stops making content, that's their prerogative. The transactions are already completed. There's no outstanding payments or something, unless there was Kickstarter and they're oh, I'm gonna go do all this stuff, or oh, I have a Patreon, and I'm not fulfilling the promises. No promises were made from Husky. So I get really, really annoyed when people talk about that whole situation as oh, Husky owed us an apology and all this other stuff. You know what? Honestly, obviously it sucks, one, that he deleted all of his videos. It sucks, but he didn't owe it to anyone to keep those up. I agree that it would have been nice if he kept those up, and it also would have been nice if he said goodbye earlier. That's it'd be nice, and I understand people not being happy with him, but I just hate that the context of the conversation oftentimes goes toward content creators owe such and such audience that help build them up this. I'm no, they don't. You paid for it.
I'm sorry, I'm a little bit distracted. Matt, you want to I guess Zombie wants to say some comments. She's got a lot. If she's being serious in the chat, you can ask about bringing her on if that's not too much of a production snafu. And while you're looking at that, I guess I would just, before we go to Dan, I agree with almost everything you said, Ravi. I feel exactly the same way, but I don't want to expound upon that yet. Dan, what are your thoughts going into this?
Well, first, just something really quick that I've noticed from 20 years of being around. It's weird when, so it's like two parts with this, just real quick, is first off, if someone, generally speaking, if someone announces that they're stepping away, they actually aren't. And if they go away quietly, they're actually gone. And it was weird to me that people didn't even realize this, but it is always the case. It's like, oh yeah, I'm Kelliger, I'm retiring, guys. He's in every tournament. He's got a new. It's like, yeah. But then people like Husky just go away, or Day 9 kind of phases out, right? And that's just kind of it, because they're done. So if you liked Husky's content and stuff like that, yeah, it was great. You watched it, and be happy for him. I'm really happy for Husky. He's made a decision to do something else in his life here, and you should be. I mean, you don't want people doing something they don't want to do. It's going to suck.
Yeah.
if we didn't, the three of us didn't like StarCraft, our commentary would be just awful. You wouldn't want to watch any of this stuff, you know. So you shouldn't even hope. Like, as soon as someone actually goes away and actually retires or whatever, I'm always happy for them. Like, oh, great, it's a new step in your life, and go do that. That's fantastic. And I don't know. There's also this weird thing where when some people go away, like your memory grows fonder of them or whatever.
Roast into glasses, yeah.
Because Husky was actually being witch hunted quite a bit there at the end of his StarCraft career. And everyone acts like they loved him all the way, but some of you people acting like that may have been part of the reason why he wanted to go away. Because people were actually talking some trash on Husky. Be like, oh, he doesn't know the game good enough. It's like, guys, he's a hype commentator. He's just having a good time and enjoying StarCraft, but people were hating as well. So try to keep these things in mind. I mean, he's an actual human, and everyone has to make these types of decisions for themselves. So I understand what you're saying, Ravi, about the people feeling like, I'm surprised that people would ever feel that. It's just like, yeah, he made content, now he doesn't. And yeah, that's fine. And if he wants to get rid of those old videos and everything, well, you already watched them. I mean, you've got better stuff to do anyway, so it's fine. It's gone now. That's cool.
All right, Jess, I guess Matt gave you a link or whatever to click on if you want to share your thoughts. We'd love to have you on to talk about this. Before we have Jess on, though, I guess, or while that's happening, I would add, to me, the part that's hard for me to separate is we're learning, and I would add Sean to this as well. I think that's a good example, that you can move on from making content. I agree with what you're saying, Dan. If you don't like it anymore, or business purposes, or whatever, it just happens, right? You're not going to do one thing forever unless you are Artosis. I think it's just easier to give what he gave here, right? Like in this announcement, this Facebook post, when he says he doesn't go into anything deep at all. I don't read this and go, oh, that's why he stopped. None of it. He just says, thank you. I'm going to be enjoying StarCraft in private now. I'm doing other stuff. And he's doing this, by the way, because it got into a weird bully situation where every time he made any kind of comment or his name was mentioned, there was this like whiplash fervor of people that very obviously like him and want his content. But as Ravi started by saying, it has this weird relationship where they feel victimized by the fact that because they like his content, but the way that he stopped making it made it into like a greed situation or abusive or bad. So there was this really negative vibe around that. And that's the only reason you're getting this response, literally, again, 6 years later. Like, it's because people would not let it go. So what I'm learning from this, when I look at this situation, and there's a lot of people too that, like, we had Day 9 on the Pylon show for BlizzCon. There was a handful of comments of people that were just like, oh man, there he is cashing in on the fucking StarCraft panel or something like that. First of all, if you think anyone is hopping on a StarCraft panel to cash in or like reap the views that we have in the StarCraft scene, I am so sorry to burst your bubble, but nobody is doing that. They're showing up because they fucking love StarCraft and they'll talk about it whenever they can. But there's that negativity around that as well because they didn't like that he stopped making content, which again is funny because it comes from a place of like, I love his content. Now he's not making more. Well, I hate him. You know, so what I'm learning from this is if you stop making content for whatever reason it is, in Husky's situation, it was business. In Day 9, it was business too, by the way. It's not like he's not making content. He moved on to games that still are massive. You probably should just say, you should, and it's as innocuous as this statement here too. Like, nobody looks at this and goes, oh, that's why. it doesn't say why. It just says, yeah, I'm done. I love you guys. I'm going to do other stuff. But people will be happy with this. So I don't think that's the biggest lesson for most people because I think most people kind of knew that. But it is an interesting thought experiment for me as a content producer who's never planning on leaving. But if I ever was, it would not be quietly into the night. Now, the other side of this, and I think... Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, like, almost kind of building off of what you were saying, but in, like, a slightly different direction. We don't really know why exactly he didn't just announce it earlier. And that...
Oh, why he didn't announce it earlier? No.
Yeah, why he didn't announce it earlier. And part of that reason may be that he actually did have an interest in eventually returning to it, or, like, he wanted it as an option further down the line. Yeah. He didn't want to be that person maybe that quits and then comes back, kind of like what Dan was saying, because everyone that says that they're going to quit oftentimes doesn't actually end up quitting. He doesn't want that kind of reputation. Like, we don't actually know. Could have been all these, like, different reasons. So it's like kind of I sort of see some of the potential reasoning of like why you may not announce it, or you may not want to make it like this finalized decision if you ever decide to go back.
Okay. It looks like Jess is not clicking the link, so she does not actually want to hop on the show. That's okay. Doesn't have to, but if you do, Jess, the opportunity's there. The other direction this was taken, though, and this is an interesting moment to talk about this part of the conversation, is that I would say Husky becomes the poster boy for this concept that has rubbed people the wrong way. And I can throw even like Rotterdam's name out there. This is a joke we have off camera quite often, is how many times people will ask like me or Roddy, they're like, yeah, you guys are good, but where's Husky, man? He's the guy that got me into the game. And we'll be like,
oh, hey.
It's a weird concept because it's a little bit like, you ever been around that guy that talks about his ex-girlfriend with his girlfriend in the room, like just a little bit too much? It's like, yeah, well, my ex-girlfriend wouldn't have done that. It never comes off as like, it's not evil or like super wrong. It's just a little bit weird. It's just a little bit weird. It makes people uncomfortable. And that's kind of how it is with the Husky thing. It's like, it's not that you never mention him. It's just that there's people that are still here putting in the work, trying. And when people are like, hey, you're cool, but like, where's Husky? And you're like, so anyways, we do have ZombieGrub here. I know you got thoughts on this. Are you mic'd in? Yeah, what's up? How you doing?
Hi. Yeah, I'm okay. I wasn't gonna come on, but then I really like it when there's like disagreement. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do that thing where I improve the show by just being the person that disagrees.
Please do.
I want to hear it. I want to disagree with whatever you're about to disagree with.
It's going to be great. It's gonna be great. I also want to talk to you about manor mules later. So
totally
calm down. I was kind of only partially listening to some of the stuff that was said in the last like 2 minutes because I was deciding whether or not I should come on.
No, thank you. Yeah, it was just me talking. Don't worry about it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I probably wasn't that great. But I do like, with Fear Dragon talking about Total Biscuit's philosophy, and then there's like this whole discussion that could be had over like, is that actually true or not? Is probably like the core of the issue. So I feel really bad just being like, let's move past that. But I think it'd take way too long if we didn't. I feel like it is more than just like, hey, I did this thing and you watched it, so that's the end of our agreement. I think just being a content creator and a personality actually comes with more of a social contract, if you will, than Ravi's explanation gave credit for it. So I don't really like Husky for how he left the people that I see as having at least some type of obligation. And this obligation, by the way, because people are going to really like riot over my word choice there, is literally just like, hey guys, I'm leaving. And then you get into the whole like, well, why didn't he do that? Why did he wait 4 years and then put it on his Facebook in the weirdest message time ever? And I think that the answer very well could be he was scared of the backlash. Totally possible. He was under a lot of scrutiny. Well, scrutiny, not the right word, but yeah, it's it was bad back then to be like, hey, maybe not StarCraft. People would riot.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
But then the other reason is that he might have had intentions that always come back, and that's kind of where I'm like, oh, is that kind of skeevy just to be like, I might pick this YouTube up thing again, a month later when this thing doesn't work out, and I don't want to cut that tie, that cord, completely with a statement like that, and I don't really like that idea either. Although, we don't 100% know that's the case.
You're selling me on it.
Why don't you like the idea of him leaving himself an easy route back in if he's just kind of slowly losing interest? He's working on something with his girlfriend or whatever, right? Doing some other business ventures. I mean, doesn't he have the right to come back if he wants?
He does, but I think that goes back to what I think is a bit more of a social obligation than maybe other people do, where you say that. You literally say like, hey, I've been going through a rough time. There might be less content. Hey, I'm working on this other thing. There might be less content. And then after a month, after he's like less, and he says, you know what? This is really working out. Sorry, guys, I got to leave. Everyone's like, oh, I had closure. I had understanding of the process and I had closure. And what he did was just not do that to anyone. So I feel for the people. And this is someone who I'm like not even that much of a Husky Starcraft fan. So this is no emotional attachment here. But I do understand why people would be like, well, that was kind of screwy. I don't like it.
I like that. That's a good perspective. Dan, I'm not actually, I know that I've teased you about this kind of thing in the past. I'm not doing that now. But you have been like deep in the Hearthstone scene or whatever. You did make content for some other games, and then you did kind of move on from that. So
yeah,
you got backlash for it, but how did you reconcile these kind of things? Like for you, and I'm asking, and that's the advantage of the show, I guess. You're a content producer. You worked in different games. What's your philosophy on moving between different games and doing that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I guess it's been kind of weird, and I guess I've done it kind of like Husky when I've left some of these other games. I didn't make an announcement that I left Hearthstone.
Mm-hmm.
It was more like I was focusing a little bit more heavily. Like I was asked to do some Heroes stuff, and I always do Starcraft because that's my love, right? And so I had to skip a couple Hearthstone events, and then they stopped calling as much, and I just kind of phased out, and I never made the announcement. And the thing is, it wasn't like I made a conscious decision to step back from Hearthstone, but like for instance, I didn't get hired for the Hearthstone League in Korea, and so it's like I don't have that for work, and then I only have I get invited to one Hearthstone event every 3 months, but it's like overlapping with things that I have to do, so it's like I was, it just kind of happened that way in Hearthstone, which was fine because I had so much other work. And then with Heroes, it was kind of like, I just decided not to re-up for the Korean League because it went through like a bunch of changes I didn't agree with and I didn't like. And it no longer made sense with a lot of StarCraft 1 and 2. And so I guess in both those scenes, I was kind of like Husky, where I didn't make any announcements. And the thing is, I view it in such a way that if I want to go back to these games, I can. It's not like I made, I wasn't trying to trick anyone or leave a way back in. It's just the work flowed away. This is different from creating my own content because I do a little bit of my own content, but that's not my main thing by any means. But if the gigs aren't right and the casting contracts aren't correct and I don't get hired for certain things, then suddenly I'm not doing it and I just kind of disappear. And I mean, I do get people occasionally that are like, hey, why aren't you doing Hearthstone or whatever? I'm like, I don't know. And what do I answer, right? There's a lot of things I can answer. I value StarCraft more, or, I didn't get gigs, or, I'm a little bit out of the loop. It takes a big concentration of effort to do anything well. And, you only have so much attention and stuff like that. So I guess I don't have a great answer for you, Geoff. But I guess I kind of did a little bit of similar thing to Husky there.
You're sharing
I don't
thoughts.
think
I
it's
appreciate
similar,
it.
though.
Go ahead, Jess.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good thing to bring up. It was a really good question to ask and get Artos' opinion on it. But I just don't think it's very similar. I mean, people are pointing out that the commitment is a bit different. If you had left StarCraft maybe in this fashion, then maybe I'd be thinking different things. But regardless of the commitment, I think the difference is that you have the people, you actually could respond to people who are like, hey, why don't you do Heroes anymore? And you can say, well, the gigs stopped coming. And same for Todd, who people are bringing up in chat. If he had which he did, stop doing a lot of StarCraft 2 stuff, people asked him and he made a video about it. That's very different than what Husky did, which I guess people were correcting me, and he did kind of trickle out some Heart of the Swarm VODs and stuff, but there was never any direct communication with his community about that. So that's the big difference there between you two for me, a really big difference.
Can I ask,
Yeah.
what do you feel like? What do you feel the obligations are? Because you mentioned that like there is these social obligations. Like I know it may be like complicated or something. It may be like a lot of different individual ones. But if you had to summarize it, like what would you say the social obligation is for a content creator to the community?
I think that would be a really big discussion, assuming that like enough people even agree that there is one. But I said what I thought the obligation was. I think just an exit post is your literal only obligation, which doesn't sound like a lot. And that's also another reason where I'm like, well, you could argue if there's obligations or not, but I don't think you can argue that it would have been really a cooler thing for him to make an exit post. It would have been the nicer thing to do. I'm going to argue against that.
Now, well, to be fair, right? Like that, we don't know exactly what his situation was, but it can sneak up on you. Like the exit from Hearthstone kind of snuck up on me, and it no longer made sense to accept the gigs I could. And there was no real post there because I already kind of phased out. And kind of a similar thing happened to Heroes. I just did less Heroes events and then just kind of, I guess I made like a tweet. I'm like, oh, I won't be casting Heroes this year or something for that one. Hearthstone, I don't think I ever say anything, but it definitely can sneak up on you where you're like, you start doing more of something else. You start releasing less. You stop doing that as much as you were, right? And over time, eventually, it's kind of like you might even wake up and be like, oh, wow, I really just don't do this anymore. And I could see that. I mean, that could be what happened to Husky. We don't know exactly how it went down.
I mean, in my recollection, by the way, like, I think an interesting example, and I could be totally wrong with this. Maybe I'm forgetting part of the story, but I feel like that's kind of almost what happened with Apollo and casting, right? Like, he was making content, he was casting, and he kind of gradually, like, it was just like at this weird random point, you just stopped seeing him cast, and he was just behind the scenes. Like, I don't think he owed anyone, like, hey, I'm just taking a step back from casting or anything. It happens, right?
It's interesting.
Yeah, it was kind of he got more work at ESL behind the scenes and stuff. Yeah, it kind of did phase out a little bit.
It's interesting too to pull it. So I'm going to take this in a little bit of a different direction to give flavor. I think everyone on this call knows more what I'm talking about. I'm sharing with the audience. There is a strategic layer to yourself as a business, obviously, and I think this is part what Jess is getting at too. Her style is very honest, very open, share everything. And for better or worse, there's an advantage to that. I find myself closer to that side of things as well, but there are people who do not. And I'm not necessarily saying this is the answer from Husky, but I do have more information that I'm going to share with the public. I will say that I'll just tell you it's closer to this than not, that it was a business choice to share less. And I think that's an interesting thing that's not to be demonized, by the way, necessarily. I still do agree that the execution of how you handle this is different. Not saying anything at all versus something like this Facebook post is night and day for me. And just on a strategic layer, I can't rationalize not doing that. Because again, no information was shared in that Facebook post. There's no lawyer sitting at Disney or elsewhere that's like, aha! And now we got him, motherfucker. Like, that never happened. Nothing that was said in that actually does one thing or the other. But there is that layer that is like, I'm not going to say anything because A, there could be backlash, or B, it doesn't allow me the opportunity to come back and be like, just kidding, I'm actually going to keep making content, which then whiplashes your community back and forth, and then you create really bad experiences. But I just want to throw that out there because for some people, it's an interesting thing to look at. There is no good, right, or wrong answer here. Another example would be someone like a Day 9, where he is wildly successful, but how he acts and says and does things on camera is him. I'm not going to say anything else, but it's a version of him that is that takes energy to put out there. That's not he's not crying on camera. It's not Day 9 Daily 100 every single time, right? It's part of a performance. Whereas for other people, that's not what they do. And again, I'm not saying one's right or wrong or whatever. I'm just trying to share with you that what you hear and see from a content creator is not so easy as like, I'll just share everything. And, I'm getting sued or something. And then you just share that with everybody. You're like, I don't like the content as much. I don't like Starcraft as much. Or can you imagine the content creators that, for instance, Caldor moved away from Starcraft 2 and some of these other people, if they were just like, I'm moving to another game because the opportunities are better for me to make money. There's going to be somebody that puts his picture up on a wall and is like, Caldor, I hate you. You are my German content creator, and now I'm going to kill you. And it's like this terrible thing for that person. Whereas if you leave it ambiguous and don't say that and just go make other content, and then when someone's like, why'd you do that? They'll be like, because I love the game so much, you guys. And the content's just driving me. It's just so enthusiastic and exciting. And I love everything. And everyone's like, wow, that's so great of you. There's a strategic layer, is I guess what I'm trying to share.
It's true. Yeah. There is the choice to be very public or not. And as far as I remember, he was across like up the board, like, YouTube, Twitch, whatever. He just wasn't a very direct guy.
Yep.
He made his money off of YouTube ads and didn't have to do the whole like, oh, I really care about you because you're on my chat all the time type deal. So it is different. But I still don't like, and it was a business decision for him to not do it. I personally, the reason I came on, by the way, was not because I'm like 100% disagree. I'm just like, it's not that cool. That is basically my true standpoint.
I like that.
I really wanted to throw out a disagreement. But my true standpoint, it wasn't cool. I personally didn't like it, but if he returned into the YouTube stuff, am I going to be like, morals, ethics? No.
I'm glad you did that, because somewhere out there, Father Noni is listening, and he's disappointed in Artosis and I again as we fail to call out somebody at another moment in time. The way I word it was that's not how I would go about it, but I like that you're pushing that in the direction of like, nah, that sucks. And I do think it, like I said, I have more of the story that I'm not going to share publicly, but I don't agree with it either. I don't like it. It was a business choice is all I'm going to give to you, is that it errs on that side. And there are people that make content, and it is a business choice for them. And I make a lot of choices business choice-wise as well. So it is a fine line to walk, but I don't know. And it's hard to hold everyone to the standard. For me personally, I make content about shit that I like a lot. So the idea of just dropping it and moving on to something else is not fathomable to me. You are not going to see a Candy Crush tutorial from me tomorrow on my YouTube, unless they pay a fuck ton of money, in which case I'll do that 2 seconds flat. But you probably won't see it because they're not going to pay me the money. You're going to see a lot of content about shit that I like a lot, and it's not going to perform as well because I'm fully clothed and I'm not yelling racial obscenities or something like that and getting to the top of Reddit livestream fails. Because I also... Anyways, I do that thing. My whole brain just fell out on the floor. Okay, so that's the end of my jokes. Anything else on this subject you guys want to add? By the way, Jen in the chat's up. Thank you for joining us.
Well, were we going to mention, because you mentioned there was like this second part of the thing where content creators are angry about it or something like that.
Yeah.
I feel like we really hit on that.
Yeah, and I'm glad ZombieGrub's here too, because I want to get her thoughts on this as well. So just the idea here is the weirdness of fans having nostalgia and really liking the people that they listened to earlier on versus the people that are still here making that content and then being asked, what's going on with these other content creators that moved on. So that's why Cyan made that thread. And I actually love the way he did it, by the way. He did not go passive-aggressive, as far as I can tell. I read through most of it. He did not make it bad that people liked Bitter and people like Husky. He just said, hey, here's some other people that if you're liking StarCraft 2 content, they're making stuff. And he did a really great job. Did you happen to see that one, ZombieGrub, that thread?
Oh, yeah. Of course. And all the tweets are flying to him about that thread.
Oh,
yeah.
Lord.
Oh, did he get some tweets? I didn't see that.
Well, it's funny because I've done something similar to what Cyan's done like a couple of years ago or something, and I had the exact same reaction where basically anytime you make a list saying, hey guys, this is not an exhaustive list. These are just some like people that I think are worth supporting, and you guys should also post who you think is worth supporting. And the first reaction is going to be from any content creators that felt like they were left out and weren't named, and they're like, oh wow, I guess you just like don't care about my content or something. It's like the kind of passive aggressive, like, why wasn't I on the list? It's just, I know that was a frustrating point for Cyan, so he was very annoyed that he was like trying to create this list and was like, hey, go support these content creators, and then 50% of the reaction he gets from other like content creators is just like, wow, can't believe you didn't include me.
Which is funny because there actually are so many people creating content, which is awesome. And it's too bad that some people took that route. But I will say, without naming names, we actually had a little bit of a funny experience with that, because when Dan and I wanted to make this show, we just wanted to make a fucking show talking about StarCraft. And a huge back part of this is like try and share it as much as possible. But again, without naming names, there was some individuals that were actually upset that we made this show because they thought that it was like aggressive and meant to kill other content and take their ideas. And we were like, I don't even know how to wrap my head around that. Sometimes you give a guy $99 and he's like, why isn't it 100? And you're like, well, Sorry. So hopefully it builds towards a better future, and everyone kind of like Cyan makes that list, and yeah, some people are like, why aren't I on that list? And that's, you know, he's trying to share.
Well, that's a weird stance to take, isn't it? Why aren't I on that list? It's like, well, maybe because you're like this right now. It's like if you're going to be aggressive that he didn't name you on the list, first off, maybe you need to make better stuff. Maybe he forgot about you. Maybe you should take yourself less seriously and more people would know about you. I don't know. I didn't read the thread, so I don't know who did that, but that's the things that come to my mind.
Well, I mean, for at least a few people specifically, and some were nicer than others when they were called out about it. That thread was literally like, hey, content, like, hey, people coming back from Husky's time. These are the new content creators. And some people that complained were like the people from 2010 to 2012. So they actually they actually would not be on the list even if they were forgotten about. They actually they wouldn't be on the list. So yeah, that was a funny part of it too.
You know, not to make this a whole nother topic, but it is funny because making content in StarCraft is a prickly subject, right? Like there's we've done a couple of drama moments on our show, which has been really funny in the past. I want to shout out to Nate for handling it so well. Some of these other stuff that we've done. But like, if you're making content in StarCraft 2, like we were joking about earlier, you're here because you fucking like StarCraft 2 and you're trying to fill a need and you're trying to talk about it, you're trying to share it. And a lot of people try to monetize it, which some people, anytime you talk about money, they instantly click to like, that's greedy. No, you should not make content for money. That's terrible. Why don't you just do it for free? I'll tell you, as someone that's doing that right now on a show with a bunch of people that are in various different processes of either doing it or getting there, doing what you fucking love and making content about what you really love is the goddamn dream. If you see somebody trying to make money making content about something they love, please don't hate on that person. Please love them. Please support them because that is the life. If you know somebody that has a job that they don't like, you know somebody that is, generally speaking, some level of probably not very happy or they're not as happy as they could be. And I would hate the idea that someone would ever make someone feel bad for trying to get themselves out of that situation. Like it's the best. So
can I tell my favorite story about this?
Yeah.
Where of how insane some of the people are about like giving shit for trying to make money off of like content that's being produced. So I run a tournament that's now sponsored by Blizzard, called Ladder Heroes, but I used to do it self-funded out of like my own money, and then I would add to the prize pool, and I opened up a Patreon that was going directly to the prize pool. I didn't like see a single dime of that money, and I was still putting my own money in. When I opened up that Patreon, I got a message from a guy like once a week for at least 2 months about what a sellout I was and how ridiculous it was that I was asking for money. That, by the way, was basically going and being counted as income for me. So I was paying taxes on the money that I was putting away. So, you know, just to put this into context of the kind of shit that content creators deal with sometimes.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite ones.
Gotta block that guy ASAP, man. You shouldn't even know that he did that for weeks. First time it comes up, get out of here.
I hate the word cringe or whatever, because it just obviously became something else, but my whole body is like, because I know that guy, man. Those people are out there. They message me quite frequently too, and I'm like, oh. If you're on YouTube just making angry comments, man, I don't know.
There's a lot of them. They have to be bots. There can't be that many stupids running around.
Well, that's that topic. Jess, we only have a couple more. If you want to stay on, you're more than welcome. Or you can skedaddle.
I can stay on until I have to stream.
There you go. Thank you guys for that discussion. Thank you for handling it really well. I've been looking at the comments in the chat. Appreciate it. If you're wanting to get your question answered, all you have to do is be a Patreon of the motherfucking show, dude. You got to pay us some money. You'll get on that. On the topic of selling out. Anyways, real quick, next topic. Matt's scrambling to show you guys the Patreon. You can hop in there. Next topic is Home Story Cup. They're slow dripping out the players that are coming out. I saw the bracket. I think it's not for public consumption just yet. It's stacked. I don't know how fucking Dennis does it. Actually, I do know how Dennis does it, by the way. One of the coolest little moments. You guys don't know this. You didn't put these things together. I saw a couple of comments, but Take TV, Dennis Geelan himself shows up at BlizzCon with his camera, and they're like, "Tastosis, can you hop on for a video real quick?" And Nick's like trying to say no, but it's all happening so fast that he's on camera. And then Take is like, tasteless. Wouldn't it be great if you showed up to a home story cup? And what's meant to happen there is that Nick can't do anything but say, yes, I would love to be at home story cup, and then he's roped in. But instead, Nick, the master, this guy is covered in the lubricant of esports. You cannot hold on to him.
He's the greatest.
He will not give in. He's just like, man, you can't afford me. And then that's it.
Hold on. I think he opened with, "Are you gonna pay me?" And Takes like, "No." Like, what do you want?
God bless Dennis, but I'll tell you what. The Home Story Cup is anyone that you see there commentating and doing that. They are not being paid boatloads of esport dollars. They're there because they fucking love StarCraft, which is not a slight to Home Story Cup. They are also not they're not making StarCraft content to make millions of dollars. So it's a passion thing amongst everybody. But we do have our laughs because Dennis is he can pinch a penny and get $1 out of it. But in this case, he pinched a penny and tried to get a Benjamin, and the Benjamin said no thanks. But there's going to be some great players there. We have Tasia announced coming back. This is going down next week. I know that ZombieGrub is going to be over there.
It's true, not as a player or a caster.
Just a drunk.
But as someone in the background.
Well, here's my favorite part, and I'm so glad you're here, Jess, because I get to make this prediction. By the way, they are going to ZombieGrub. So it starts like on a Wednesday or Thursday and goes through Sunday. So Thursday through Sunday, ZombieGrub will cast 4 hours each day, I think, between Thursday and Sunday.
You think?
Yeah.
I think it's probably a good
day.
4 to 5 hours. So we're talking about 20 hours of free labor coming out. Not even free labor, because Jess is going to send herself over there. So it's like the opposite. What do you?
It costs me money.
Paid for labor, and it's like
she's paying for exposure.
Yeah.
I can't wait till my taxes ask for how much exposure I made this year. She'll be there. Rifkin's going to be handling the B stream, I believe. So they're going to stick him in the fire dungeon. Which, again, a lot of people don't know this, but that room gets up to be about 115 degrees, and Rifkin's going to be in there the whole time. So that's cool. But that's great content coming out. And then Kevin will be there, Rotterdam, of course. And I really want to step up the hype about him taking his shirt off. I think it's ridiculous that this community let him off the hook so easily. He's just like, no. And everyone's like, okay, that's reasonable. Come on.
And he didn't even write a post about it.
No post.
I feel cheated. He owes me.
Yeah. That's content we deserve. It's Christmas season. So don't let him forget about that. I'll be over there as well. And I will spend I'll try to spend as much time as possible drunk. This will be a drunk one, okay? It's after BlizzCon, so I can't be fired from BlizzCon. They can't tell me that I'm too silly for BlizzCon like they did one year. So this is timed perfectly. I don't know how to get. I start off with saying I don't know how to get these players. Look at this list: Lambo, Laser, Cyril's going to be there. They got Rail from
It's
Russia.
a great list thus far. I'm kind of excited to see who else is going to show up. I mean, if Tasia's there, I feel like we need Snoot to show up. I don't know if he's going to, but
he was taken off the list of players specifically, but that doesn't mean he's not going to show up.
I talked with TLO and I think I briefly have talked with Uthermal and a couple other TL players. It sounds like Snoot is actually pretty much off the map. Maybe he does return and do something. I know he said he wanted to stream at some point, but he's not even communicating really with anyone in StarCraft. It sounds
interesting.
Like right now.
I thought it would go one of two ways, where he's the kind of guy who, with the stress off, he might actually have become a better player, was my initial prediction. But he also might be the other kind of guy where if they're not playing full bore, if they're not pedal to the metal, just going all out, then they don't enjoy what they're doing. Because I've met that kind of player as well, where Idra was kind of that way, by the way. If Idra wasn't training full bore and just trying to win everything... Okay. I don't know if you guys can see my screen, but Cobra's downloading German malware on my computer now, right? Oh, he is. You can't see the screen. Cobra, no! Anyways. You guys' thoughts real quick on Home Story Cup? Excited? You going to watch all that stuff?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll still be here for ThePylonShow, so we'll probably do a big preview. I think it starts this day next week, doesn't it?
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken.
It starts
Wednesday? Thursday.
Well, which is Thursday in
See, it's Thursday in Germany right now, but I think we're going to be on before it starts. So.
Oh, you're doing the time travel. Yes, you're going to be on the day before, is what we're trying to say.
Right.
Yes, okay, perfect. Well, we'll do a big preview episode next week for it.
There you go.
Because for me personally, I love Home Story Cup. Like this is like my wife knows about Home Story Cup more than anything else that's made in the StarCraft community, because I like tell her ahead of time. I'm like, this is coming up. I'm gonna need the TV. I'm gonna, you know, I'm gonna stay up late and watch as much as I can. It's such an entertaining show. I love it.
And next week, you can actually, when you're doing the preview, you can go over all of the balance patch notes, because it'll be the first big tournament on the balance.
Yeah.
Oh my
It's
god.
like a 4th time now.
They're using those maps, the new maps, right?
I assume so.
They better.
Probably.
They better if they know it's good for them.
Oh my god, that would be like literally, yeah. So the new maps would hit the day before.
Yeah.
Is that right?
That's so sick. That's so exciting.
I mean, it's fun for us. It's terrible for the players. Those poor guys. Poor guys.
Look, every time that things are bad for the players, it's good for the viewers.
That's true.
Every time. You guys remember, what was it called? Dasani Station or something? Dasan Station?
Oh my god.
Yep.
God. Pros never
Such
hated
a
a map
sick
that
map.
bad.
Oh, and Loco
Best
will be
game
there,
we
by
ever
the way.
saw, every time.
Loco will be there as well. I forgot about that. So if you're missing out on the Husky StarCraft brand of content, Loco will be there. Always smiling, blonde hair, relatively attractive, and just everything's great. So just check it out. I'm excited to see what happens when we rattle him, because that's what I'm there for. I want to see. I bet Loco's nasty.
I don't know about that. It was pretty surprising, if you can just touch on that Loco was the first confirmed caster. Like, I actually don't think they ever made a caster announcement except Loco. I don't think has been officially confirmed casting, but yeah.
In my egotistical mind, it's the grand finale announcement, so that's what I'm waiting for. It's like the day.
Right.
Everyone just assumes you'll be there, Geoff. Actually, this was sad because everyone was releasing these videos about like casting at BlizzCon, remember?
Yeah.
And so Nick and I made some. We're like, well, they'll probably ask us to release these. And so we made videos that we thought were really funny and cool. And then the fucking everyone else released a video and they announced the casters. They never asked us to put them out. So on our phones, we got these videos that were pretty cool.
I mean,
we liked them. We tried. We talked about it, made them nice.
You guys couldn't talk about the BlizzCon, like anything at the BlizzCon Pylon show, so you missed the whole like talking about how that obviously, like, I think the joke amongst the rest of the casters who weren't invited was that they couldn't pay the graphic design guy. They saved solid $100 right there by making it all on you.
For people that missed out on that video, I'll just do it for you right now. So, okay, guys, this is Nick Tasteless Plot here. I'm with Dan Artosis Timkowski. So we're going to be commentating BlizzCon. We're so excited. We're so stoked. This is going to be so great. Super rad. Dan, your thoughts? Oh, I can't wait. StarCraft's the best. Go SOS. That's right, Nick, or Dan. So, yeah, tune in. It's going to be happening this next weekend.
Did you just do a Canadian accent for Nick?
That's... Nick's like, I'm talking to other humans caster voice. It's so fucking funny. The whole Plot family, like, every time we hang out, like after the event, there's like Nick who's like shambling through a bar, like at the hotel. He's like, "Hey, get over here, have some drinks with us." And he's like, Sean, I love you, brother." And Sean's like, "Fuck yeah, Nick, what's up, dude?" And then you're like, "Oh my god, there's a camera," and you like shine it on him, and Nick's like, he's like, "Oh, hey, it's so great to see you. Thank you for tuning in. I can't wait to make more content. When I get home and my wrist is healthy, I'll actually stream too. Check me out at Tasteless TV. Sean, your thoughts?" And Sean's like, "I'm so excited to be here. Everything's so great. The StarCraft people here. I'm on 2 panels tomorrow, which is 2 more than I think I deserve." And you pull the camera back, and they just like shrink back down. It's like water on the gremlins from that fucking... Anyway, so I fucking hate methamphetamines, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not normal shit. Oh my god. Dan, by the way, in case you're wondering, is exactly the same, camera or off camera. Like, you are getting Artosis.
I'm pretty close. I don't like to use extra energy pretending to do anything else.
And if you're wondering, I can make fun of Nick on my show because he doesn't watch, so don't worry. It's not. I'm totally safe. Our friendship's fully intact.
Oh, it hurts because it's true.
I love those guys. They're great. Yeah, so that'll be next week. We'll do another. Dan's gonna do another show about it. Last topic, and this one's kind of interesting. Yeah, it's really interesting, actually. So the groundwork I'll lay for this is that video game awards are bullshit, just generally speaking. So please don't take any of them serious at all. It's usually, and most of the time, you have to accidentally click on this kind of website, but it's a bunch of people jerking themselves off super hard. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't suck sometimes when they jerk off really hard and forget about, jerking off the right people. And in this case, they they had a vote for who is the #1 PC gamer of the year, and Simple, a Ukrainian CSGO player, won. Who, by the way, that's not, I know for a lot of these guys on the show, like you probably don't know who that is. He's fucking incredible. It's not necessarily that Simple shouldn't have won, because I don't even think we need to go there. But this idea, like, there's going to be StarCraft elitist people that are like, no, you can't fucking no. Simple's actually an incredible player in a game that takes an extreme amount of skill, and he is incredible. So I'm not even talking about that. The shitty part was when you talk about the best PC gamer of the year, and you have a list that doesn't include Cyril, who for the first fucking time dethrones 20 years of dominance from Koreans, and does it out of Finland, where he won every tournament he entered except for one. And he put together like historic streaks in a game that is wildly considered by gamers, by the way, CSGO people, everyone, as the hardest, or at least one of the hardest games on planet Earth to play. Then you are talking about a shitty, shitty list. And I would love it if ZombieGrub was going to disagree with me or somebody. Go ahead, Ravi. Your hand's up.
It was community nominations, so just nobody nominated him, and I think anyone could have done it.
Well, fuck all those people then. Everyone.
So literally the entire StarCraft community is to blame for that. But all right, I'm going to put an addendum to what I said.
There's no way.
I've had like 10 people on Twitter tell me that. So I'm assuming that 10 people didn't lie to me.
I'm sure let's just say this, it's a mixture. Either there was a list of people that you could vote on, because otherwise if you're just like, gaming world, just nominate anybody, and everyone like nominates Ninja anyways, and they're like, I guess that counts. Then that would be kind of weird. To me, it just I just go back to my original statement of like, how shitty of a list do you have to have if your system is just anyone can vote for this thing that you may or may not have heard of?
Yeah, that sounds like a weird way to do it, and I wanna jump back just a little bit and echo what you said at the beginning, Geoff, that all the Esports Awards shows are pretty silly. I only followed them a little bit the first year some of them started popping up, and like I was looking at them like, this is kind of neat that this is happening, and then I don't know if it was this Esports Award thing or another one. Maybe it still exists, maybe it doesn't, but like I clicked on it and it was like I went to the website and I clicked on judges, and it had 2-3 guys where I'm like, oh yeah, no, these are esports veterans, these guys are good. And then it had like a guy that works at the graphic card company that sponsored the event. He's on the panel deciding who wins the awards and all that type of thing, right? Yeah. And so yeah, overall esports awards stuff is it's just I don't know, it's cool. Like I think that there's a lot of great people doing great things across all the different esports, and it's nice that they're getting noticed. But I think that one thing we need to look at here, like obviously the biggest thing this year in esports, sorry guys, StarCraft is harder than the other games, and it's got a longer history with more domination in one direction than any other game by far, okay? Yeah, like a team from Korea didn't win League. How many years you guys been doing that? 7? Okay, great. 20 years here in StarCraft. Anyways, so Cyril obviously is the most impressive player of the year. But at the same time, you have to be careful about this, right? Because if StarCraft is the hardest game, the best player every year should probably win the best esports thing. But you shouldn't do it that way, right?
Of course.
It's like you can't just have the esports award and every year Flash or someone like Cyril wins, right? It can't be that either.
Well, to be fair, I'm inspired. Between what you just said and some in the chat, they said, when is the Pylon Awards? We will do that. That'll be our drunken episode for Christmas. So. Oh
yeah, we'll do it right at the end of the year. That's a good idea.
Yeah. Do you guys remember, or did you even notice? I don't know. Like 5 years ago, Blizzard actually did an awards for StarCraft.
Oh yeah, they did. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. And you couldn't write in for that one. and it was well, I guess it actually wasn't that much of a dramatic thing for most of the community, but let's say that it hit me and
yeah, it was interesting.
TV, it hit us pretty early.
Oh yeah, there was some spilled milk about that. I can't remember what it was, but what was that?
It was cool.
You weren't even on the list, you guys?
Nope.
Okay.
No. So, yeah, they almost never go right.
Yeah.
It's a TLDR, but I just wanted to throw that out there. You know, if the Pylon Show is going to make one, then I expect and demand that I'm on it. And,
oh no, it's a drinking episode, so you're our first invite. Yeah, we were already planning.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, well, I'm just saying, if you forget someone, then I'm going to passively aggressively tweet at you.
I can't remember where I saw it. I think it was in your own chat. You were like, someone was like, Jeff says you drink a lot. And you're like, yeah, Jeff likes the storyline that I'm a drunk. And I'm like, storyline? Is that what we call it?
Yeah. I don't know if you have anything more specific to bring up before I bring up.
Oh, no.
Do it.
Oh, boy.
Oh, no.
All right. So, on the topic of this Esports Awards show, right? So, like, let's take away the fact that there may be the issue that Starcraft didn't submit its own person, which I don't know if it's actually true, but whatever.
I looked at the process. It's true.
Is it? Like, I tried looking on the website.
It's at least it's to be true, because there is a public nominations thing that happens, and then there's voting.
Can you guys help me remember that next year? Let's just fucking rig it and get a Velo to win this thing, or a winner or something like that. We'll get all of Starcraft behind it.
Yeah.
Well, Ninja will just win, though. They'll figure it out, right? So.
Anyways, go ahead, Jess.
So regardless of that, though, doesn't matter, is that we had someone who was, you know, I guess you could say, like many people who have legitimate, like, solid careers in esports right now, started off in Starcraft 2. So I'm pretty sure this guy literally started off in Starcraft 2. If I'm not mistaken, he was also on Team Liquid. Stephen Chu?
Yeah.
He made an article, and you would think that, you know, he would mention Starcraft, which he did. But oh my God, you guys. I asked for someone to catch the final link, and no one could, so I'm going to try and find it now. But he basically argued that Cyril did, in fact, not deserve to win that awards. He literally explained why the guy...
hang on. Without reading I saw it. Does he make the argument that the Korean scene is worse because of region locking and that winning this was illegitimate?
No, he does not.
Okay.
He did not spend enough time on it. But he probably would have. His main argument, okay, I'm reading it right now, thanks, Maynard, is that, hold on here, I want to find the really good one. While Cyril won BlizzCon and is, in my opinion, the best player in StarCraft 2 currently, to be the player of the year, you have to look at the entirety of the year's results.
Yeah.
AKA,
that's true. He only had that one showing.
AKA, he didn't do well enough the entire year to be considered the best pro gamer.
What, he was top 4 at Katowice and then won everything else? Literally
Tell me when to
else?
tag in, Jess. Tell me when to tag in.
Okay. So I'm trying to focus entirely on the article because I've read this guy's stuff. Like I know he does content for StarCraft, so I don't want to like say that I always disagree with him, but I often find myself not enjoying his articles, and that this one I really felt was just a really poor.
Oh, he says beating Koreans for the first time in 20 years is a storyline, not an actual reason. It's not as if you beat literally 20 years of Koreans from the very beginning, including Boxer.
Well, I mean, if he wants, we can poll a panel to see if that would be worthwhile to see Boxer versus Cyril. Oh, results are in. No, it wouldn't be. That would be a huge waste of time for everybody. I do want to mention. No, if you're Dragon, actually, I'll let you go first.
It's just a weird straw man, though. Like nobody's arguing that he beat 20 years of
this
Koreans.
Whole tower of dominoes.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Rob.
Well, I mean, the follow up here is just that I asked him on Twitter, and I thought I did it in like a relatively like kind of calling him out, but sort of innocent way. I was like, hey, so like, totally understand if I don't know enough about the other games, so like I'm not gonna call you out and saying that Cyril wasn't like the gamer of the year. That's totally fine. But it was like weird that he was like, oh, Cyril wasn't the best for StarCraft because he didn't do well for the entire year. And then I quoted him a bunch of stats. So I was like, okay, he went something like he had a ridiculous score line. I think it was 86-7 for the entire year in like best of 3 pluses. He only lost 6 matches, or 6 of those matches, 6 of those 7 he lost between like January and March. I'm like, So his response there was January and March are part of the year. So I'm like, okay.
Today you learned.
Well,
That's a great response.
I know. And then I say, okay, well, the player that you say outperformed Maru for the entire year, or sorry, outperformed Cyril for the entire year was Maru. Maru lost 12 series, literally double the number of series during that time. At which point he kind of goes on and is like, oh, well, he won GSL though. And I'm like, okay, with like Cyril won GSL versus the world and Blizz. I don't know. It was like this really, really weird argument.
Yeah. Well, I want to mention just real quick about esports writers, and it's not everybody, but just the way that like a lot of people who write for esports, right? They need to get clicks, they need to get views, right? Their articles need to be seen, and because a lot of things are ad revenue. Ad revenue is a very, very broken thing. We've talked about this a little bit before on the Pylon Show. And in general, I think it's something that people are starting to figure out, that if you are literally just trying, like the thing I was making fun of YouTube titles before, it's because it's ad revenue. That's the thing. That's why you're, how many banelings to kill a battle cruiser? And then you got this splash screen and it's like,
you'd be good at making those titles, to be fair.
No, I know, right? Hit me up, YouTube guys. I can help you. I'll tell you exactly how many exclamation points to use too. Anyways, the ad revenue type thing for making content, this is part of the reason why the Pylon Show is actually a good show, is because the community is actually funding us. We don't make any money off ads at all. Well, I guess we have some sponsors. That is okay, so there is some, but it helps, right, that the community is funding rather than you have to get views. So what I'm trying to cut to, and not every person who writes about esports is necessarily this way. I don't read everyone. But in general, a lot of writers in esports are edgelords. They are people that are trying to say very divisive things, just like you see on TV, because that's another industry that is paid for with ad revenue. So what you want to do is outrage people or tell people exactly what they want to hear, and these are the things that are going to provide you with the most views. So this guy's an edgelord is what it is. And I mean, I understand why he's doing it. This is going to get you more clicks. It's going to make you more successful. You know, you're going to have your career, which, like Geoff was saying, you know, don't hate on someone for doing what they love and trying to make a living off of it. But you can't take a lot of this shit seriously, because it's like you're just being an edgelord to be an edgelord. Listen to the tweets back at Ravi. It's like, no.
I mean, I indirectly promoted his content by arguing with him and resurfacing that thing. And this whole discussion that ZombieGrub brought up is what got that article linked in the chat that got him.
I always like, you're not wrong at all, Artosis. This is not disagreeing so much as it is continuing. But it's continuing the same topic, like train of thought, is that it is that kind of like fine line between being like an edgelord and drawing in those clicks until you just go, I'm not even going to read that anymore. Like, that was dumb. And then the publisher is like, hey, like, draw it back. And that's ultimately what we wanted. That's actually ultimately, I think, what happened to Kotaku back when they were writing like a billion articles about Scarlet. Eventually it was like, you're really grasping for straws there, you know, on this 50th article. So that's why I like bringing it up anyways. Also that it was just really tilting, to be honest.
No, I agree with that assessment. It like, the thing is, I'm saying I'm not necessarily hating on Stuchu or anything. It's just like, this is a very edgelord or ignorant, uninformed opinion. Like, I mean, what else do you want?
Is there actually a video that says how many bandings to kill a battle cruiser core that we're showing me here? No results found. Okay, there could be a video. None were found.
I'm gonna have to make it, man.
Wait, no, can there? You can't.
No, you can't. Well, I guess theoretically, hold on here.
You roll them into all their buildings and make them all blow up, and then the battle cruiser doesn't matter anymore.
They never lift their buildings because they're Terran. So, but like, I was with you there, Artosis.
Yeah. I mean, I could use here? Like I could like modify the game so the battle cruiser was a ground unit and then test it, but
to be a shitty battle cruiser, my man.
Yeah, that'd be
pretty shitty battle cruiser.
Well, missile turrets don't.
You know what?
Anymore,
make it a Protoss unit, they'll probably do that. All right. Yeah, no, I like this talk, and actually, I do really. I feel like we do owe it. Jess, of course, with a very reasonable response, but like a lot of these writers they cannot just say the reasonable thing. They can't just, if you click on the article and it's like, well, here's who won, and here's why they're great at video games, and you're just like, and I'm done. You don't read that article. Nobody reads that article. It needs to be named, here's why Cyril didn't deserve it. And then people are like, fucking, what? I'm going to read this and then angrily tweet at him and share it. And then they're like, yeah, okay, there you go.
My only point against that, man, I'm really being contrarian here today.
I like it.
Is that would it not have been better to anger the other 5 more popular esports by putting Cyril is the best?
Yeah, no, that's what a good writer would have done. No, I'm just kidding. He's
That's
fine.
a good point. So
All I do is talk shit. Okay, it's what I do. I'm a clickbait person. No, you're right. Yeah, the article "Simple didn't deserve to win" that probably goes viral on their Reddit, which has a lot of people that would get really angry really quick.
Yeah.
Problem is, most of the people that play Counter-Strike don't know how to actually read or write, so it's kind of the wrong community to.
Wow. I was gonna say counterpoint is that the Jesus.
Go ahead.
The Reddit thread that's linked in the show notes, the response to the top comment is, it's weird that Cyril wasn't in like the top 3, and there's just a bunch of people agreeing with that person.
Oh yeah.
On the Counter-Strike like CS:GO subreddit.
Yeah. So they do know how to read.
Thank you, Jess. Yes, I wasn't literally saying they can't read or write. Yeah, it's interesting. I like, you know what? It's a funny relationship we all have, though, right? Like, they're going to keep doing it. Nothing we say is going to stop Stu Manchu or anybody from writing ridiculous articles. And they're fun. They're fun to read and write. But Cyril should have fucking been at least in the top 3.
Well, I mean, reality is, okay, and people can read and write and talk about and vote however the hell they want. Cyril did the best this year. That's it. For all video game players, Cyril did the best. Congratulations, Cyril.
Well, he'll win the ThePylonShow award for best PC player, I promise you.
No shit. Well, if you want to take this really direct, every year it's probably Flash most years, right? And then like Cyril won it this year. I'll give it to him over Flash this year.
Absolutely.
Truly amazing what Cyril did. But
wait, you're stealing our content. Wait till we'll figure out a date for that. By the way, guys, it'll be mid-December.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Actually, I'm glad we're gonna do that.
Yeah, I'll be super.
Someone had that idea, Jeff, and you shot it. You were like, no, and then we moved on. Yeah, it was a Patreon question too. But cheers to the guy in the Discord that said that. And yeah,
that's just my relationship with the Patreon questions. I just shoot all of them down and then later consider it later.
Yeah.
All right.
I gotta go now.
Yeah, you gotta go stream. Go stream. Thank you for stopping by.
Thanks for allowing me on.
No,
you're break
awesome.
it all up too much. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Yeah.
It's too bad that she left because I think she is going to miss out on the best part of the show. It's this moment in time where Dan talks a little bit about Brood War, and Ravi falls asleep. It's time to talk about Brood War, and then after that we got some questions. And we're going to wrap this thing up. We're done.
Okay. Well, ASL finished up. I don't know if did you talk about that last week?
If we did, I don't remember. I think I said that I'm waiting until you come back to. I touched on it, but I haven't. It's on at 4 a.m. my time. I'm sorry, I can't watch this shit.
So the reason why Cyril wins Best PC Gamer of the Year this year is because somehow Flash lost in the finals of ASL Season 6. Yeah. To Effort, which he has never beaten in a best of 5. This is the only person who can say that. It was an amazing finals. Really, just crazy games. So many mind games going on. Like these guys are so far at the top that it's no longer mechanical. You know, it's like this series was not about mechanics, which is hilarious because they're both unfathomably quick and good at that. But like it became, do yourself a favor and watch the ASL Season 6 finals. It was insane. Really great. Congratulations to Effort for taking down Flash. But I believe that's the end of ASL for the year.
Okay.
Of course, we'll see it again next year. No doubt. KSL is still going on. And in fact, it will be tonight. I'll be there tonight and tomorrow. We're still in the round of 16 group phase. That's most of the tournament, actually, because it's like best of 5s, GSL style groups. So you get a ton of matches there, and it cuts to the top 8. But so far, we've only gotten a couple players into that next round. And it was Rain and Mind who got to advance. And that was actually kind of, it wasn't surprising with Rain at all, but Mind took out Sulky 3-0. kind of devastatingly.
Always happened with Sulky. He's like wildly regarded as top 3, just an amazing player. Gets towards the top 8 or so, then someone just beats him.
It was kind of a weird series too, to be honest. Like first game, Sulky definitely could have done something, I felt like, but he didn't. It didn't quite work out. And then the other ones, I'm like, huh? You know, I don't know. But anyways, great. I mean, seeing Mind in top form is fantastic because he used to be considered the second best Terran in the world, but Last kind of took that over. So, but Mind is still up there. But yeah, KSL is going on, and the finals is, I believe, like the 14th or 15th of December. So we have several more weeks, like what, 5 more weeks of a bunch of best of 5. So tune in tonight. When is it? It's 6 hours from right now. I will be casting KSL.
2 a.m.
So check that out.
Well, thank you, Dan.
Yes, you're welcome.
Guys, that brings us to the wild conclusion of the Pylon Show, which is where people in our community can ask us questions and we'll talk about it. Has it been a lot of sentient food questions or long paragraphs about what we would do if we had animals for hands and stuff like that? Yes, it has. But it's also a time where...
Animals for hands? I must have missed that one. Damn.
I actually just made that up.
That's a good one, though. I like that.
Thank you. That'd be kind of weird.
What type of animals would you like to have for hands? It's clearly octopuses. Please, continue.
Well, that'd be amazing. And then we'll wrap up the show and bid everybody adieu. So right now, Matt's going to start throwing up these questions here, I believe.
If you had an octopus for a hand, wouldn't that just mean you have 8 fingers, not 8 hands?
Oh,
no, and if an octopus is literally your hand, right? Each hand has 8 tentacles full of suction cups. That would be crazy. You would have so many suction cups, and they're like very, they can move so many different parts of them. Like if you're playing StarCraft, you could have one on every key. Do you know the type of APM that you could have with that? That's crazy.
I don't know that they move that specifically, though. You're thinking of
you still wouldn't be as good as a Counter-Strike player, but you would be good.
Way up there. Just to give you guys a little bit of insight into my life as well, one of my favorite things is every time I go, these are the Patreon questions, and if you want to ask them, you can join our Patreon community, and that's where you'll do it. Every time, and you can see it. I want you guys to see this in future episodes. My eyes go like this. That's me looking at the chat, and without ever skipping a beat, there's somebody in the chat, and they're never a sub, and they're like, at In Control TV, battle cruisers seem to be getting a new buff. What do we think about that for balance? Thanks for taking my question. And I'm just like, every time, how the fuck do you hear something and it goes inside your head and comes out an actual unicorn, like just a floating butterfly of some other creature? Anyways. Still not. Should students be allowed access to the internet during exams in school? That's a great question. Love the show. And Nero's look of disgust as In Control answered my last question about aliens. So this is a question from last Thursday, but it's still good. They are just ripe. Guys, should you have internet access? You know what, Ravi, you're the youngest of us, so you've taken a test most recently.
Should you?
I dreaded if you've been in college. The worst tests, the most horrible tests were always the ones that were
take home.
No,
you're wrong. You are wrong. Take home is the worst.
It's the same principle. Take home / open book, because
you're
know
right.
that everything is scaled the fuck up for you to not still be able to find the answer.
When they oh my god, it's such a trap. When I first took my first take home test, I was like I'm gonna be able to Google everything. You fucking kidding me here, kid? And then the way that the paper, and then you start doing it, and you're, oh my god. Yeah. So the answer is no, you think?
I mean, I think the answer should be yes for education's sake, but I hated school, so no, that'd be really difficult.
I'm going to quote the movie Serenity and say you can't stop the signal. And the basic principle that they were talking about is that it is inevitable. The shit that's on the internet, the amount of information that's flying around, why would you even try to stop it? If you tell a student not to use the internet or anything to take a test, what are you simulating? Like, in what scenario in the real world are they like, quick, I need this answer, and by the way, you can't use the resources that literally a 3-year-old's using right now on a fucking iPad. Mm-hmm. You're like, so, yes, use the internet, but be prepared to be destroyed anyways. Hyper Turtle, I'm planning to do a long series of streams where me and my friends play one match on every official Blizzard StarCraft 2 and Brood War map, all the way back to imbalanced messes they included with the original game disc. To produce a product that gets decent views, how often should I point the webcam at my dog?
Well, you need a second webcam for your dog. It's very clear. I mean,
2 out of 3 people on this show have a camera for their dog. Ravi, when are you getting a dog, and then when are you putting a camera on it?
I mean, February? I don't know. We'll see when I move out.
That's the kind of peer pressure I can get behind, by the way. I don't mind that at all. Hyper Turtle, thank you, by the way, because your question was heading in the direction of I was about to, like, have a tough time with it, but then you ended with dogs, so thank you. Melty, do plants eat the sun? I think the answer is no on that one, my friend.
Well, you know what? I think they actually do eat the sun.
Dictionary definition of eat is put food into the mouth and chew and swallow it.
Ravi, are you going to let Merriam-Webster tell you how to live your life? Are you serious here? Okay. Are you actually going to tell plants that they don't eat anything just because they don't have mouths? What are you...
Are you devaluing the value of a dictionary definition as someone who literally makes a living off of speaking?
Oh, damn.
Have you ever heard me speak? Do you think...
Oh, the old Artosis trump card of being willing to make fun of yourself harder than your opponent. It gets them every time. Very good. Sam Talik. I was really surprised to see the post-BlizzCon patch bring Cyclones and Disruptors back to an earlier state. I'm willing to keep an open mind, but it feels like going backwards. If you could have any unit revert to its older state from Wings of Liberty, HOTS for Legacy of Void, what would it be? So I think the beginning of your question is, I don't like this, and then you go, what one would you do it to? And it's...
Okay.
I'd revert the bunker to its original design.
Ooh, trick question or trick answer, because they ultimately put the bunker back at the original build time.
Are you serious?
I think so, because I
don't tell me the bunker's in its pure state right now. There's no way.
No, someone asked me this is a trivia thing because they did like the +5, -5, +5, -5.
Could it always be salvaged? I think bunkers used to not be able to be salvaged, right?
No, they were salvaged. It was like 100% though.
At the very beginning?
I'm on the Wikipedia. Build time with the first patch for the bunker was build time decreased from 40 to 30. So the original build time was 40 seconds, and the last patch it got was increasing it back up to 40.
Damn.
Do you guys have any answer for this? Is there any you want to revert back? Okay, go ahead.
I just had it in my head. Hold on one second. I'll get it back.
Okay, I'll go while you're thinking.
You guys remember roaches used to be able to heal faster below ground than people could do damage to them?
Yeah, that was cool. I liked that. Oh, the pylon. I would bring the pylon back. This reduced health, and they don't shoot anymore, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Like, the fact that you can put it on low ground and doesn't power the high ground. Are we really fucking afraid of warp gate rushes still? Put the pylon back. Give it some radius so you can fit your gateways on a pylon. Give it some health so that all your shit isn't unpowered immediately. What are we doing, guys? Put the pylon back.
I like that.
Yeah.
That was some passion, too. I think you might be the only person who feels that strong about pylons, but I like it. Some drunk Canadian asks, cake or pie? Now, try to keep this a respectful answer, by the way, because there's going to be a heated debate on this. I can feel it.
That's a good question. I actually don't know.
Ravi, without answering, I think you are a pie person.
Well, you'd be half right, Jeff, because I can't eat either of them most of the time.
Son of an absolute bitch. I think I'm fully wrong. I think I'm mostly fully wrong on that. There's no, really, like, there's no... I know you have all the allergen stuff, but there's none.
There are some, but, like, here's the context. I never buy pie or cake for myself. So the only time I would ever encounter is at, like, a party, at which point I'm not going to be like, hey, person who bought this pie, do you happen to have... Did you look at the ingredient list before you purchased this? Like, I'm just like, you know what? I'm happy with my peanuts.
Not everybody knows this, but Ravi has a lot of allergies, actually, with food. So it's a constant battle because in all these events where they're catered and stuff like that, he's not just a vegetarian or whatever. He's like, I have to avoid that thing because it'll hurt me, actually, so keep it away. Dan, cake or pie? I actually have no idea.
Keeps showing up to these events, doesn't he?
I can eat everything. And I have. I eat all things.
I think you missed the joke, but that's okay. Moving on.
I don't get it, yeah. I didn't get that one.
I'll go with pie. Well, he has to avoid things because they'll hurt him. And control bullies him.
The bully joke.
Okay. Anyways, I think pie. I'm gonna go with pie on this one. I think pie's better.
What's your favorite pie?
It has like, you know what? My wife makes a sweet potato pie.
Interesting.
That's like
dessert kind of pie. That does not sound like a dessert pie.
It's pretty sweet because it's like sweet potatoes in there, right? And I think she puts a little bit of vanilla in it or something, and it is just ridiculous.
I am definitely a pie guy, but I'm going to give a longer answer than this question ever should have gotten, but I will. Apple pie is absolutely incredible. Like a warm apple pie with vanilla ice cream, amazing. Pumpkin pie during Thanksgiving, but not ever after. Maybe Christmas. But have you ever had a pumpkin pie in the middle of summer? No. And if you have, you're a fucking monster. Get out of here, okay?
They don't even sell them. How would you even
That's
get one?
exactly right. You'd have to make it. You're like a fucking sociopath. You're a weird person making a pumpkin pie in the middle of the summer. Don't do that.
That's true. That's true.
But like,
it would taste so weird
like
in
a
the middle of
Halloween
summer.
thing.
What's that?
Why wouldn't pumpkin pie be like a Halloween thing?
It's
Why
okay.
isn't it
No,
Thanksgiving?
Halloween's fine.
It's a Thanksgiving thing. It's a Thanksgiving.
It's an early Thanksgiving thing if you do it in Halloween, but it's acceptable.
Yeah.
It's kind of like eating or drinking eggnog. Like if you do that in the middle of summer, you're a fucking beast. Okay.
Can you imagine drinking eggnog? In
Actual
the middle of
beast.
summer?
I want to
That
see
wouldn't
someone.
even make sense.
You guys playing
You can't
frisbee?
even
Let me
buy
just finish my
nutmeg.
eggnog, and you're like drinking your eggnog while they're frisbeeing. I would hunt you down.
Frisbee. I love it.
Yeah, pies are the way I would go. They're so good. But that being said, my grandmother, who is no longer with us, used to make a banana cream pie. It was just angel food cake, whipped cream, bananas, and like strawberries, and I think some like icing of some sort.
That
but
sounds
it was
good.
amazing, and it's the best ever. So I can't fully say pie, but it's mostly pie. Markand for Artosis. Given that you grew up in New Hampshire, I assume you grew up with real maple syrup on your pancakes. Since you're in Korea, I would feel like real maple syrup is prohibitively expensive. So my question is this. What do the Daughters Tosis have on their pancakes? For non-Artosis people, the question is, what do you have on your pancakes?
All right. Well, this is actually interesting because, yeah, I grew up in New Hampshire, but actually real maple syrup was more expensive than the cheap, shitty market basket maple syrup. So that's the type I grew up with. But now that I have a job in Korea and daughters, we purchase from Costco real maple syrup, and that's what they have on their pancakes. So it's the opposite of what you thought. There
Very
you
nice. All right, we're going to wrap this up in about 15 minutes. So, Ravi, no worries about it. We'll just speed through this.
Okay.
We're going to answer these much quicker. What are on your pancakes, Ravi? Do you eat pancakes?
Oh yeah, I actually have a great answer for this. So what I do with my pancakes, I pour some of the maple syrup on them. I put some actual like chocolate frosting, and I actually just pour gallons of milk on it because it doesn't make a difference. I can't have them anyways.
God damn it. He got me there again. I was all on board until you said you poured milk on it, and I'm like, that's a milk pancake. That's getting weird. I'm very boring and vanilla, guys. I put syrup and butter on it. That's it. I'm just normal.
That's the right answer. All this fancy shit. I go to IHOP and then
gets
like,
weird.
we have all these different syrups. Like, I don't even want to hear about it.
I don't want to hear about it.
Don't even want to hear about it.
Alessander, how did you three meet? Is there a funny story involved? Dan and I's first time. We talked about Dan and I's first time meeting, but I don't even know if we know online. I think it was just mostly
Not even
I like
sure.
was in charge
Probably
of Nation
each other
Wars
on the
team.
ladder. Yeah. I think
think-
that's when we became very acquainted.
Yeah.
What was it, USAB you were running?
Yep.
Which
was actually
probably
USAA.
much better than USAA.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was
But we met for our first time, and that's actually kind of a funny story because I remember it. WCG.
That's it.
Would it-
2007?
Yeah, would it have been Florida Finals though? Was it that? Was that the first time I saw you
believe
offline?
It was in Orlando, I believe.
Then I don't remember the first time. Yes, we hung out and we were like fast friends.
Or no,
we were friends online.
you were at one before that, right? The USA Finals before that?
No, I did the qualifier for it. Qualified, but I didn't go to the
Okay.
finals.
Yeah, but we knew each other online so long.
But like the
that.
second time I met Dan, I remember that because then we were going to the New York finals, and Dan was wearing long cargo pants in the middle of like 110-degree New York weather, and he was just like the nerd gear. He's just in like cargo pants and a shirt and a hat on, and they're like walking over because I was like, meet me at the spot because I'm terrible at getting anywhere. And I saw him and I was like, Dan, you're wearing fucking cargo pants? And he's like, shut up. And we like all said hi, and that was it. That was kind of my story.
Yeah, it is.
Ravi, how did you meet us?
Yeah, you guys won't remember this. So, in person, I'm gonna go with in person because it's more fun that way. So Dan, I don't even know if you'll remember this. I actually met you at first time at BlizzCon 2014, and it was at, of course, the hotel that everyone goes to at BlizzCon. So I ran into you there, and I had like a little notebook that I was getting like all the casters who cast BlizzCon to sign. So I go up to you and I'm like, "Hey, Artosis," and you're like, "Oh, you're like that dragon guy, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh, I didn't even know that you knew me." And you're standing next to Todd, and he was like, "Oh wow, like Artosis, you seem to know like so many people around like the scene and stuff, all these like other random people." And my favorite line that you've ever said in my entire interactions with you was, "Of course I know everyone in StarCraft. I fucking am StarCraft." He was like sitting there signing my like thing. I'm like, holy shit. This is like both amazing, but also Dan is a little full of himself.
That's Dan.
I sound cool as well.
Yeah. No, it was a great interaction. Geoff, I think I met you first at 2011 MLG Anaheim.
Okay,
And
I don't remember. Shit.
Yeah. You actually, no, before this wasn't an in-person meeting, but I actually think I have your phone number on my phone because I reached out to you when I was doing an internship at a company, and the company I was working at was giving me like an opportunity to like go reach out and sponsor things or like to try and get the word out because it was a startup. And I called you and like I asked you for some advice on it, and you gave me your phone number, and we like talked for like an hour and a half, and then my company ended up going under, so never did anything.
Not off my advice for people to know.
Not off your advice. I never got to follow up on it. We would have been saved.
Damn, I don't remember that. It's crazy. It's 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Favorite board games? No Monopoly. Real quick. Dan, favorite board game?
Seven Wonders, by far. Best board game.
Never even heard of it. Ravi, do you play board games?
Battlestar Galactica.
That's a good game. I love being the Cylon in that. I play a lot of Risk in my days, guys, and Axis and Allies. Those are probably my two favorites. Weirdly enough, my mom always wins at Risk. And I consider myself very good at it. She always wins. Don't know. Chicken Man, for ZombieGrub and Geoff, who has to deal with the smellier animal farts? So she's not here, so I'll answer on her behalf. She will answer her cat, because cats fucking suck, and they shit weird, and they poop weird, and they make weird smells, and they go, and they're like little weird cat things. So she wins, because Barrison's farts smell like roses and democracy. Warhammer. Get that right, buddy. That's right. Warhammer asks, each WCS stop has different qualities. For some, it's the venue. For others, it's the crowd or the matches. Taking all of these into account, which WCS stop was your favorite? Slight bias, but Montreal was easily my favorite. Second small question, favorite food you've had on the road at an event? What's your favorite WCS stops, guys?
I mean, if it's just for this year, I only went to Valencia, so I really like that one.
Yeah, you like that one?
Yeah, that was a good one.
What was
And I
your
thought
favorite
it was very exciting.
Do you ever have any good food?
Yeah, I've had a lot of interesting foods on the road at events. I like it when I've gotten to try some interesting foods. I mean, I've had a lot of really delicious ones, but I guess the first thing that jumped into my mind is I went to Taipei. I've been there a few times in Taiwan, and they brought me down, and they're like, "Oh, you're gonna hate this," and they got me the stinky tofu. I actually really liked it. Every time I go there now, I go get some. It's like an aged tofu. That's like, it has a very pungent aroma, but I find it quite tasty.
It's a super long way to just say I like the tofu in Taipei. Ravi.
I would say for complete personal bias, like last year's Montreal, because NA did really well. There were a lot of really interesting NA upsets, and I quite literally spent the entire event doing roughly 36 hours of interviews with North American players for a documentary I'm making. So I really enjoyed that.
Fair food on the road.
Builder bars.
Oh my god. Sadly, that might actually be the exact answer.
Pretzels? I don't know.
Not sure what.
No. WCS Valencia last year, they were nice enough to make me a vegetarian paella, and that was amazing.
There you go. Favorite food, Poland, the pierogies. Oh my god, they were so good. So Katowice and stuff. Love the pierogies. Favorite WCS stops gotta be BlizzCon, which technically counts, I guess. I like all the WCS stops, but there's something special about the end of the year celebration of BlizzCon.
Yeah.
And I think that's all the questions. Cobra, right? Yeah, scrolling down. There's a couple more. Real quick. I don't think I can get to all of these because we want to give time for shout-outs, so I'll answer a couple. Gunner asking another essay question. My essay of the question of an awards show last month doesn't sound so dumb now, huh? No. So I love Gunner, but I'm going to expand. You came up with names for the awards based off of Starcraft units, and then you talked about like the story behind the names. It was still a dumb question, my friend. It was just a good idea. Mort, would octopus hands beat woodpecker fingers?
Ooh.
Tips to Starcraft 2. What about Brood War?
Well, you can just up the repeat rate, so the woodpecker fingers doesn't really matter that much. It's a good question, though.
I think it would make it hard to masturbate if you had woodpecker fingers. It would be really hard.
You're always in the right place, Jeff.
Yeah, well, somebody's got to do it. No one else is going to think about my masturbation.
No, that's
if
true.
I don't think about it, who's thinking about it? Cyberjacks, are there any builds based on the new patch that you've seen the beginnings of that you're super excited to see play out at the pro level? No. Sam Talag asks, back when Rogue was on top of the world, we started seeing the really cool tactic of a lot of burrowed Zerlings around the map for vision. What underused micro tricks would you guys like to see become more frequently used as StarCraft 2 matures? Nighty Worms, great question. Thank you. So, no, I'm just kidding. Is there any micro tricks you guys want to see?
No, I mean, I love stuff like burrowed stuff personally, and especially with the new burrow mechanics that they're adding, like the buffs to burrow and unburrow speed stuff, like for Hydras and Lings. I would actually like to see things like burrowed Hydras catching things. I think that'd be cool.
And
mine would actually...
Go ahead.
Oh, mine was actually going to also be burrow, but it's almost like not for burrowed Zerglings, just for vision and stuff. But I always call back to like the StarCraft Master mod that arcade map, if you guys remember that. And one of the missions in there, or one of the things, was like literally go burrow your Zerglings and then unburrow them when the Marines are like walking directly on top of them. And it's like the difference between those two is actually really massive. And I sometimes wonder, like, if your opponent's not scanning these, like, is it worth just... No? Never? Okay.
No, I was answering no to Cobra's thing.
Oh, okay.
In Cyberjacks, I'm really sorry, man. We're short on time, so I'm trying to speed through it. I am going to venture a guess that Dan has watched 0 StarCraft 2 on the balance patch, and Ravi
has
watched very little.
I haven't seen any of the streams at all.
I have watched. I actually cast a tournament last night. Literally no one did anything.
Did you cast it, or were you traveling and somebody else cast and you're just taking credit?
little column A, little column B, Jeff. No, but I shit you know, ZombieGrub and I cast the Ballistic Sprawl yesterday. We cast like 5 PVZs and 1 TVP. And the only series that had any new units that had any change whatsoever was the TVP, and it was Gumiho, and he got rolled going for Cyclones, and every other game was literally the current meta.
So I'm sorry, Cyberjacks. I hope you don't take offense, but that was the answer, and that's. I'm just giving you the explanation now. That's the show. Thank you guys so much. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We had a really nice audience. Thank you to ZombieGrub for stopping by. We've got some regulars in the chat all the time from the community. Jenna's in there. Maynard's almost always hanging out. We try to get everyone on, and hopefully we get those guys back on. But just thank you for even hanging out with us. Here's our Patreon supporters, guys. I leaned into this at the beginning of the show. I said, we need to get to 3,000. This is this cool thing we're doing. You know how many people signed up, guys? 0. You sons of bitches signed up for the Patreon. I'll tell you what. That's okay, because we're going to keep making the content because we fucking love you. But if somebody could sign up right now for $50,000, I will get Kevin's shirt off at that Home Story Cup. With or without his consent. I will do the jail time. It's fine. There's the Patreons that are signed up and are able to ask questions and do support the show. Thank you guys so much. Again, special shout out to Emery Toss, by the way, who basically at the inception of this thing has remained at $100 a month. We don't expect that, and I hope he doesn't feel, I don't know. I hope you're holding that torch by yourself, and thank you, but please don't think you have to do it forever or whatever, but as long as you want to. Really appreciate it. So hopefully you guys can find it yourselves to consider supporting the show. If not, no worries. let's get these guys out of here because Ravi's got to get out. Ravi, thank you for coming on. Always love having you. What are you up to? I think I saw on Twitter that you're going to go see your grandparents. Are you traveling?
Yep. I am home for roughly 4 days in November, and this is one of them. So in like 12 hours, I'm leaving for India. So I'm going to be there for 2 weeks. Then I come back and do WSG. And then after that, as I think it got semi-quasi-announced today, I'm going to be flying back from WSG, and then I go to Cheeseadelphia for Washington, D.C. So
very cool.
It's going to be fun.
Very, very cool. Yeah, other than that, are you working on any other content or something you want to talk about? When your streams resume?
No, I basically gave up on being serious about my stream, but I'm working on a documentary. You'll probably see that in like 5 years when I actually am not traveling and I have time to actually do it.
Yeah, or we don't have to see it. That's the other
I know. Isn't that the great thing about not crowdfunding your documentary?
Yeah. If you do it, you do it. If you don't, you don't. Dan, you're back. You're jet lagged, but you're commentating tonight some fine StarCraft Remastered.
That's right.
So glad that you had a safe travel. It's good hanging out with you. What are you up to? When do your streams resume? Because that level of salt is not going to salt itself.
Planning on bringing it back tomorrow. I haven't played in 3 weeks, so I'm sure it'll be brutal. Yeah, I'm happy to be back with the Pylon Show. This is the worst I've ever had to pee, so I'm going to shut up.
Wow. Okay, I'll end it real quick. Guys, thank you so much. Please do consider subscribing to the channel. It's another inexpensive way of supporting the content. And if you do, let me know that it's because of the Pylon Show. The VOD will be up on ArtosisTV almost very soon. I'm off to Home Story Cup next week. Other than that, I'm going to be streaming some StarCraft 2 and XCOM. Love you all. Goodbye.